Against all odds, we're back together within a week to play another installment of The Veil. So, at the beginning of every session, our two surviving playbooks require some maintenance. We'll begin with Tess, our apparatus, who has a birth roll. So, this is a straight 2d6 roll, no state. Let's see what happens.
Shall I go? All right, let's go. And roll the bones. And that is a 7, so that is still a hit.
All right. So on a 7, I will ask you a question, and you will answer it. All right. In keeping with the questions you were asking over and over again last time, a revisit of what is my purpose?
A revisit of what is my purpose? Well, my purpose originally seemed to be to be an assassin. I felt that I was supposed to serve humanity, but upon further examination, it seemed that was ultimately my purpose, although that was revealed to me afterwards, after I'd been damaged. But now, I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure out what my purpose is. I feel I have to create it myself. I can't go on with a purpose that I was created for. I believe it is to take my place, my rightful place within the society. No, that can't be it either. I think Tess still wonders about that. But what is my purpose? I think my purpose is just to take my rightful place. The society around me is irrelevant. Self-actualization. That's all I'm coming up with right now. Let there be light.
Right. And in those same moments, Yorn. Faith.
Dice Cam.
So I get a 7. And now 7 is a surplus.
Surplus.
And yes. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have stupor, or I have cred. So I think I'm gonna get high again. Stupor is the drug that that gets me, when I do my meditation and stuff. So your meditation require a mind-altering substance, surplus plus stupor. So what I would do is that, just to make it in context of the situation we are in,
yep,
is that since we are the same day, right? We are the same day that we were. So
someone's at the door.
Yeah, exactly. So I took the drug in the morning, and the time it took to manifest itself in my body is the time it took to actually reach the apartment and everything. So I was starting to get high when I was interrogated by the drug kicked in when the detective surprised us behind us, right? So it was like, oh, and then we entered the apartment, and then, whoa, that was nasty. It's like the change of environment make the drug stronger. For all the drug users out there, you know what it is. You know the feel. So, you know, oh shit. And then now, now we get the data and everything, and then boom, I'm completely high. So I'm gonna be in this state of contemplation and you know, connection with the one, but way more than last time. You know, last time I was just excited like a kid to be in these parts, now in those parts, and now I'm gonna be one with everything. You know, I'm gonna be part of the work.
So I've heard two emotions there. I've heard like excited, but I've also heard, you know, contemplative or calm. So this state that he's in, would you say he's closer to joyful or closer to peaceful at the moment?
Oh my God, at the moment right now? Oh, well, right now it's joyful because he has the data. He's in the apartment. You know, for the beginning of the session, I'm joyful.
And Tess?
Tess, at this particular moment, is feeling a little angry, especially after the conversation with that Jorn had with the inspector. Not angry at the inspector, she's a little more angry at Jorn.
Right.
And just angry in general.
All right. So, as we mentioned, here we go. Someone's at the door. And Jorn was moving off to answer it. This has you in that halfway zone in the apartment between the private rooms and the open area where the main door is. As you come back from, you know, the mirror where the data was revealed to you into this neutral middle ground in the apartment, it's like, at least for Tess, who has nothing else to blame it on, it's almost like time slows down. Many things are there to be noticed. The display wall that was showing the endless variations, the pictures of Cadmus, the only trace of him left in the apartment, is blank, waiting for the unique data of the new owner. Right? And Jorn's moving off toward the door. But there's movement, Tess, out of the corner of your eye in the front bedroom, the bedroom that would have the view, right, the master bedroom. And Jorn, as you're approaching the door, you're linked to the apartment. And Tess, you're receiving this data too, but in a very distant way. You're linked to the apartment, and it's informing you that there are two people at the doorway. But it's also letting you know that they are heavily modified with older cyber implants. And this stands out even in your state because you had no such information from the detective. He just left. So it's almost like you can see through the door, the hallway. There's an overlay of the hallway. And the two people with their heavy physical modifications. But you also receive their ID. And they both have the last name Buchanan. The older one is named Gaia.
And the younger?
Do you care?
Yeah, I care. I care. Well, what about the younger one?
Icarus.
Icarus. Wonderful. But there's also movement in the bedroom as well.
Yep.
Is that? Well, I'm just gonna send a yarn, not verbally, but just through private chat, so to speak. Just don't open the door yet, and I'm gonna race into the bedroom to take a look to see what might be there, with taking the needler out because I'm concerned what would be in there. The detective didn't say anything. The apartment didn't tell me anything. And now all of a sudden, I feel like there's somebody else in the apartment, as well as these two individuals.
When I received that note from Tess, I stopped on my way. You know, like I have my hand reaching for the palm detector to open the door, and I'm just right there. And then I stop, and then I turn around, and I see him rushing with his weapon or something in his hand. It's kind of quick, and I'm like, hey, wait! And I'm like, wait! And I shouted out loud. I'm like, wait! What the fuck you doing? I'm like, hey, Tess, what are you doing? What's the big deal? I don't. So I shouted out loud.
It's one of those many times that Tess will simply ignore your momentarily. You're muted.
No, I'm not muted. I'm
no.
That's what I do.
I'm muted.
Yeah,
Tess, you enter the bedroom. There's nothing there.
Back, and I kind of follow him along, but slowly. Just I have this. Yorn is tall, limber, all white, out, dressed up, skinny thing with a cape. That then we see the little bit of skin because in the back because there's a hole in the thing, and he's walking tall but really phlegmatic. He has that phlegmatic attitude, like really. And now that he's like having the shivers, from time to time you see him like having like that shiver of that goes up his spine because of the effect of the synthetic drug. And he's following Tess along. He's like, hey, what's the deal? What's up?
Somebody was here. Be quiet. Do you see anything?
I've seen many things in my days.
Now, do you see something now? I saw movement here.
No, well, I haven't seen anything.
The doorbell rings and there's a pounding on the door.
I look up. I'm going to head towards the door, but I asked the apartment, how many people are in this dwelling?
1.
Yeah, and that is me. So, look, I will go back to the door, Tess. Just calm down. There's no problem. Last time you were excited, you killed a lot of people.
Do not forget that. And I put my gun away. Let us answer the door.
Yeah. Keep that thing away. Keep a lock on that thing. I mean, it's the 4th level. It's not the old Wild West. So look. I'm gonna go.
Access the data banks, trying to understand what he's talking about.
I'm gonna go open the door. These are my first guests, so
How thrilled you must be.
We can throw a little party. I can maybe like preach a little, make some a little. So I'm going to the door. Put my hand on the palm detector. Open the door. Hey, how are you? What can I do for you?
And again. Tess. This time you hear a noise, a familiar voice saying, Tess, coming from the front bedroom.
I'm going to back up while Yorn's welcoming our guests in there and just kind of walk into the bedroom slowly.
So, Yorn, you're processing things differently in your current state, right? Different things matter in different ways. So as you said, you walk up to the door, you open it, you're greeting them, and the
Yeah.
door system is informing you that the Icarus Buchanan outline is holding a grenade.
Yeah. Then the door opened, and I'm looking at the guy, and I'm like, hey, maybe you'd like to consider taking that away, pal, because in these parts it won't be tolerated. I can't have you in my apartment with such a thing, and it's not my type neither. So no need for no bang bang around here.
So Gaia Buchanan is,
And I have an intention though. I have an intention with that. I will definitely try to sway the guy to put that away. You know.
oh, interesting.
Well, of course. So yeah. So and I am joyful. Like I've mentioned, I'm still joyful. I'm not scared at all. I'm just a happy camper. So it's a +1. And it's a 4. And so you guys are laughing, don't you?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So when you want to get an NPC, don't line up with your on a hit. They do it and choose on a 7 and 9. Okay, so on a hit, so I don't have it.
No, you don't.
They do it and choose 1. On a 7 9, choose 2. I don't understand.
The veil doesn't tell you what to do on a miss. It's
No, it's a
his-
sway.
All right. Don't
It's a sway.
yeah.
don't worry about it. I have you covered.
Because I have the reference sheet here. I don't understand.
Yeah.
it.
So it's fine.
Okay.
So here's the thing. You were trying to get them to do something. Well, they don't. That's the key point. They do what they wanted to do before, which was this. Gaia Buchanan, who looks kind of familiar, is trying to steamroller her way into the apartment. All right. So Jorn begins his speech, trying to change the situation, modify the mood, but she just puts her hand on the door, and is pushing, and she's a pretty large woman, older, definitely old enough to be your mother, and she wants in. And the intention of Icarus Buchanan with his grenade is to make sure that she does. So right now, that grenade's just a threat. But it's a threat that will be used if they're not let in.
So I hold my ground. I stay in the doorway. And I'm saying, hey, I talking to you, pal. I mean, people. This is not a good way to introduce yourself. You come at me, you're trying to intimidate me with a grenade. I have a friend over. It's my I just trying to have a coming in party, like
She opens up. She says, "This is my apartment, and I want you out."
Oh, I'm sorry, lady, and I send her the paper. I'm sorry, lady. Here's the paperwork. The police is already. No, the police is already. The police was here just before. And they know what they know all about it.
I don't care what you've arranged with the police. I don't care how you stole my apartment, but it's mine.
You have the paperwork. I didn't steal it. I don't care what you think. I didn't steal it. Here is this. These are official paperwork. So it's not yours. It's mine.
Icarus, with a kind of apologetic look on his face, but Obviously, this is his mother. He's slowly, with obvious signaling, putting his completely artificial hand up, and the next step is going to be to push the door with what is obviously going to be a great deal of force.
Look. You want in? You want to have a conversation? I'm gonna have a conversation. You take that grenade, you put it away. If you're not coming in with such a thing. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you wanna break your own door. It's my door. You're gonna have to pay for it. And I have a friend. Oh, listen. I have a friend here in the back. She's not the talkative type of person. She had been, she had a rough day. So maybe it's not a good idea to arrive like
Icarus!
Right, like you own the place.
He
Please.
shoves the door, inflicting one harm.
So I have I have a thing called I'm sorry, it's called
Talking about armor?
Yeah, the fate armor thing. And so I try to remember the name. I don't see it on my sheets. It's not a problem. What I will do is that I will take the arm. It's no big deal, and I will just so he's trying to open the door, right? And he's like bang, and I kind of he kind of push me in the same time. It's kind of like a narrow place, and I get surprised a little by it. I receive the thing that takes away my breath. In my solar plexus, I fall back for a step, but then I open my arm like that again, and I'm like, okay, you want to hurt me? Hurt me. You are in the wrong. You've seen the paperwork. It's my friend that used to live here. His name's Cadmus Buchanan. He just
My
died.
son.
He died not a long time ago. Your son. Well, we are
My apartment, and you're living in it. She's furious.
Yeah,
Icarus,
you've seen
the
the paperwork.
son,
You've seen the paperwork. Cadmus lent it to me. Now take that grenade away, and everybody can have a conversation in the living room. I will introduce you to my friend, Cadmus's friend as well. But I'm sorry to have to announce it to you. He's gone.
Throw him out.
He's gone.
So, with an apologetic look, Icarus is coming in with his powerful frame and his artificial arms and legs. So cheap, so off the street, so old-fashioned. He's grinding forward, apologetic look on his face, and he's going to put his hands on Yorn and physically move him out into the hallway unless he's stopped.
Oh, I let him put me in the hallway.
He says, "I'm really very sorry, but she feels very strongly about this."
So he grabs me, throw me in the hallway.
He doesn't throw you; he pushes you out.
All right, so I'm letting myself being pushed around, but as he pushed me around, I grab his arm and I make sure I don't let go.
Right, so you're out there in the hallway together.
Yeah. And meanwhile, I send a message, a video message, live to the detective so he come back and give us some help.
Okay. Let's cut to Tess.
Alrighty.
All of this has been happening seemingly distantly, like the volume's been dialed down, the zoom has been extended, and you heard a familiar voice saying, Tess, from the front room.
Right, so I'm walking into the front room, looking around. Katniss? I presume I hear nothing.
Just faintly. Just faintly. You hear your name again from over by the window.
I walk cautiously towards the window. I'm no longer mad. I'm scared. But I walk there slowly and purposely, looking around the room, trying to figure out what's going on. And I'm gonna.
And then Yorn gets tossed out into the hallway with the other guest at the door, and some woman is steaming her way into the apartment and saying, "Who are you?"
So I'm going to continue to look at the window with my intention of lifting the veil. I pull out the needler, point it backwards at her, say, "Don't move or I'll kill you." And just still continue to look at the window.
Okay.
But very matter-of-factly, not aggressively, just like telling somebody that, coffee's ready.
Okay, we'll handle the lifting the veil first because that's an internal activity, and then we'll move on to things that connect with other people.
Okay, that's good. Right on. So I'm lifting the veil with the intention of piercing the illusion of the veil. I'm looking for see like what's really there, because really what I'm doing at this point, and I'm scared, is just to see where's this voice coming from? What's going on?
Now, are you doing this as a cybernetic organism, or are you doing this through your emotional state?
I'm just as a cybernetic organism.
All right, so that's instead of your state, that's +1.
Okay, then we'll do that. That is, let's hope that, that is a 4. That is a 4.
Okay.
Gee, you're vindicated. Same thing. That's a 4.
All right. So Yorn, you and your new friend in the hallway.
So what I do is that when he's pushing me around in the hallway, I grab his forearm, like the medieval handshake thing.
It's cold.
I grab the forearm, and what I do is I do the really popular peaceful manifestation technique of just being a dead weight. So I'm like a 6'4" dead weight, skinny, but still dead weight, and I just go in the middle of the hallway, and I'm shooting all this silently, meanwhile,
Right.
as I saying to Icarus, I am or Gaia, I think it's Gaia or Icarus. I say, I'm saying like, there's no need to be rude like that. It's not. Yeah, I mean, I'm Cadmus's old friend. It's all legal here, nothing crazy. At the same time, I send the thing to the detective, and then I fall in the, and I'm just being like dead weight for him in the middle of the hallway.
And both of you hear dimly, because the door is closed now. It's a heavy door, but you hear Gaia screaming Icarus's name. Not angry anymore. Now she's afraid.
I'm just saying. You see, no need for no violence, no need for no problem like that.
Open the door.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Open the door.
what more damage can be done? So I'm just putting my hand on the door, on the thing, on the palm detector.
Door opens. The door also asks you at the same time, would you like to call the police?
Nah, no problem. I called them already. Thank you for asking. And so I put my hand on the door open, and I said, after you, make yourself at home. You feel like you guys are already really enjoy. You have a nice way to introduce yourself. Anyway, my name is Jorn, by the way.
In the room, right? All the way across the room at the big picture display window is Tess, gun pointed backward, vaguely toward the door, where Gaia has got her hands up, but she's furious and afraid at the same time. She's just so mad she could spit, and her chest is heaving and her hair is frazzled, and you can see now, Jorn, from behind how old she is, right? How cheap her clothes are. This is a street person, just like you were a few hours ago, right? Cold and wet and dirty and afraid and angry. And she doesn't know if she should yell or attack or run or what. She's just at the end.
So
and Tess is frozen in the moment. And I want to deal with Tess just for a second. So you've lifted the veil to see what's really there. Right? Mm-hmm. And it definitely did not work as you intended. And you are in an all-white space, like you have been locked in a proper maintenance lab, not some junkyard like Riches, but in an actual clean environment. White floors, white walls, white ceiling, no shadows. And there's the feeling of being rotated, examined, probed. And in this space, you are without clothes, without your outer trappings of humanity. All of your internal sections and components are, popped out, exposed, exploded, to be probed or filtered.
This isn't what I was expecting. And I got an echo from someplace, but I'm looking out, trying to figure out. Actually, I just shout out Cadmus. Hello. Shouting out to the void.
And then you hear, in a voice that could be Cadmus's, you say, "Oh, my prodigal one, what have they done to you?" And then you're back in the scene with screaming Gaia and apologetic but angry and territorial Icarus, worried about his mother and Jorn, all back together, all within arm's reach of each other.
And what you see, as soon as you come back to your senses, you see Jorn in a really elegant, phlegmatic, and swift trajectory and move. He cuts in the corner, puts himself arm open, and stick his chest to the barrel of your needle gun, turning his back to the new friends arriving in the apartment, and he's looking at Tess in the eye, put his hand on the gun, just gently and softly say, "There's no need for this at all. Tess, put that back in your thing. I told you already. We don't need that here. It's our new home." These people just want, they have some concern. I think they are Cadmus's parents. They want to talk. So put that down. This is not the way to have a conversation.
So Icarus says for like the 9th time, "I'm his brother," but he looks old enough to be his dad.
You see?
His
Yes.
brother.
So put that gun down. You're not going to point your gun at Cadmus's family. They claim that this is our own. So there might have been a mistake in what happened with the paperwork. We're going to solve this out. The police is on the way.
Well,
It's no
I don't put my
mistake.
gun down, but I just look at Yorn.
And I have my hand on the gun, that the barrel is stick to my chest. And I'm like, just a minute. I'm talking that, I just want to make sure everything's is going to be fine here. And then I come back and I look at you. Come on, please.
Yorn, these people look quite upset.
Yeah, and they will be more upset if there is a gun pointing at them. So put the gun away.
I'm giving the up and down, in all spectra. He is holding a grenade on this person. You are aware of that.
Yeah, but it's not armed. So put the gun away. They put the grenade away, and everything's gonna be fine. Come on.
The house is telling you both that there are no other hidden weapons other than the body of Icarus, who he may have been at one point or another some kind of like street gladiator. There's underground television circuits and things of guys who are modified and fight for money, and the whole point of watching that show is to see the harm that they do to each other, and then they come back week after week with new cyberware and the damage to it, and arms and legs being torn off, and it's sick, entirely illegal, and of course watched by everybody.
Of course. Well, I said
He's
the only
got
thing
that
that's
kind of look about him.
I said the only thing somebody says in a case like this. Would you like some coffee? Cigarette? Perhaps a drink.
Icarus is nodding his head, and Guy is like, "On your way out."
I have my hand on the gun still. I'm like, again, Tess, put that away. You cannot ask people if they want to drink with a gun pointing at their face. So put that thing away, and then I'm gonna make the coffee, and we're gonna have the conversation.
So Tess looks at Yorn, puts her gun away, and lights up a cigarette.
There you go. So I'm turning around, and I'm like, see, everything is fine. So how do you like your coffee, ma'am? You big guy, how do you like your coffee? And I walk, around them, give a tap on the chest of the guy as I say, you big guy. How do you like your coffee? I'm 6'4", right? So I'm looking at him in the eye, as it's not even I'm just a skinny, tall dude with the shoulder eye a little bit. You see those kind of dude, and I'm like, yeah, you big guy. How do you like your coffee? I've just arrived. I don't know if Cadmus was. I don't know if anything's fresh in these parts. Taking a look around.
That boy never saw a restaurant he didn't like. There's probably nothing in the refrigerator.
I open it. I confirm. I said, well, there's not much in there, but I can order some coffee from the. I'm gonna receive some stock here, and I'm gonna ask for some coffee. So I'm making an order, sending an order to the coffee shop I remember down in the hall. So it's on the way.
Gaia, and he's saying, "This guy is high. He's out of his head."
I'm not out of my head. I'm completely coherent. The coffee's on the way. Now let's take a look at the paperwork, see if there's anything wrong. And so you saying that this is your place, and you are Cadmus's parents. I see your name is Buchanan, but I don't. How can we? And you look like you know the guy, because I remember I've been around the guy a little, and he likes his McD's. So
Guy says it's very simple. What did you say your name was?
my name is Yorn.
Yearn?
Yorn.
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm his mother. He's family. He's blood. Without me, he doesn't exist. Whatever is his is rightfully mine by law. You know this.
It makes sense, but that's not what the paperwork says. So maybe we should make some research and see like to see if they're fake. Maybe I received some fake paperwork. How about that?
I know your paperwork is fake. You know your paperwork.
Do you
How
have
could
yours?
anybody?
Well, do you receive yours?
It's ridiculous.
Did you receive yours? Your paperwork.
Of course I did.
Show me.
I'm not going to show you.
Well, I need to see your paperwork. Let's compare the paperwork and see what we can do about that. Maybe make Tess. Tess is a computer. She's a robot. She makes some really good search online. So
this prompts an immediate reaction from Tess. Tess runs up to Yorn. Not runs, strides up rather fast, picks him up by his collar, and lifts him up.
Before I can do that, I will move away. I will try a risk, maybe try just move faster away, not being caught up like that.
It sounds more like neutralize.
Yeah, all right. Perfect. So, yeah.
Well,
exactly.
then again, it's talking about using force.
Yeah, and I have a hold from way back. Yeah. So I'm gonna use. So I'm still joyful.
Risk is better. Yep.
Yeah. So I am joyful. So it's. So I feel pretty good. I'm happy to see Cadmus' parent. I am confident that we will solve the situation, and I'm I'm willing to help. So I'm just gonna. So I have. So a hold is it's a +1.
Yes.
Yeah. So I have an 8. So on a 7 and 9,
there'll be a cost.
Yeah. So it's a risk, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, risk.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure I have a synthetic leg. I have like enhancement in my long legs.
Let's stop for a second. So we're having the risk roll be Yorn's, as he's the one trying to avoid the danger.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Clearly, unless stopped, Tess would be able to grab him by the collar as she intended.
Yeah, exactly.
So he needs to make the roll. So what was the actual intention? To grab him by the collar and shake him, or lift him, or what?
I made the roll.
I know. I want to know what the original intention was.
No, the original intention is to pick him up off the ground.
Okay. So with that context, and Yorn is successful, but at cost, what do we see next? What is the result, Yorn?
Yeah. So what I do is that I see him coming. From instantly when I see the move, he twitches. In a way that I'm like, she's just that for Yorn now. She's annoying. She's damn word annoying. She's always trying to make a fuss, always trying to respond in a combat way kind of thing. So he's really he saw that coming from a mile away. So he's like, oh wow, why can't she just shut up? So he's doing like his a really swift move. This is the kind of move he's been doing when he was running on the street since he's a kid. Like a fish. So he's just like super fast, changing level at the same time. He has these enhancements in his leg. And the cost is that the leg, one of the enhancement is damaged. So when he does that, there's a part of his leg on the side that opens up like a bone, and he falls on the ground in pain with another arm. So I'm like and there is like electricity on the side of the leg. It's like oh, dang, that hurt.
This is six and one half dozen of the other for Tess.
I'm calling an ambulance, like a repair management company, private company, right away. And I'm like, Tess, I just called some help. I'm gonna need some money to pay for that. Oh, why are you always trying to hurt everybody? Please, just like, please give it a rest. He's on the ground, he's like screaming his lung out in pain, and the leg is just and there is some of those. So it's like, imagine like a bone, like two bones like that was on the side of the femur. So the femur. So they are out, and they were used to be connected. There is some blue gel that leaks out like oil, smells like oil, and the skin outside is burned because of the electricity that comes out.
Well, that's far worse than I would have assigned to you, so I'll let that ride.
Man, if this was Ubiquity, I'd give you 2 style, but it's not. So I lean over, or Tess leans over Yorn at this point, and looks down. Perhaps then, if you need cred, perhaps you should get a job. I told you before, do not call me artificial in front of other people. However, given your condition, I will not throw you out the window this time.
Mom, I think these people are crazy. It's just like him to bring this into our lives. He can't do anything right. And
I assume you both would like some gin? And Tess just walks over to her luggage. She pushes a button. The bottle of gin pops out of the other compartment side by side with a gun, and she begins to pour 3 glasses of gin, looking down at Yorn, realizing he's probably high enough at this point. And just hands these little glasses, little, inappropriate glasses for the drink to her 2 guests.
As you're doing that, the details about these people are becoming, of course, more evident. And, one working girl to another, you recognize this type of lady.
Right. Perhaps you'd like a cigarette as well?
She takes the drink, she takes the cigarette, and says, don't think this means anything. This should have left it to me.
May I ask you something? Guy.
Icarus moves over to help Yorn. Yes?
I was curious. Cadmus lived in the sprawl with us on level 1. Or he worked there. I knew he went to a different place to live, but I did not know that he lived on here in level 4. And clearly, if I may be so bold, you yourselves appear to be from the level from where Cadmus and I met. How is it that he had this apartment? Or how is it that you ended up on level 1? I am unsure of the reason. It does not make sense.
Well, you can tell from the look on her face, she doesn't really want to answer. And she's more likely to lie than tell the truth.
Right on. Well, I will probe while she's answering in whatever way she's answering.
Okay.
I believe that's the appropriate move. I think, yeah, seems to be the most appropriate. So, should I roll first before she answers? Is that the? Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
All righty. And I am. Not say that I am still. You know, I'm going to go with powerful at this point, seeing as I just was pissed off at Yorn, and it's more of an ass whooping thing, or more of feeling superior. And I have so that's on no modification. This is an 8 straight on the dice. So that's a weak hit.
Okay.
So hold one. Okay. So then what I really want to what do you intend to do is my real big question I'm looking for as she's giving me whatever kind of answer she's giving me.
Okay. So here's our scene, right? We've got Yorn in pain on the ground, leaking blue oil. We've got Icarus, who's obviously experienced hundreds or thousands of this kind of injury, right? He's there. He's kind of gentle, actually, and nothing like Cadmus. You know, that hard edge isn't there. This is a gentle giant sort of guy, and he just wants Yorn to be comfortable. Has him, just lie down, right? And he's fumbling around inside. Says there's a feedback link that's telling your body that your leg is hurt. I'll just turn that part off, but don't move because your leg is hurt. Okay, he's just being really kind and step by step, like he's repeating words he's heard hundreds of times before. And while that's playing out in the background, lie after lie after lie is tumbling out of Gaia the mother. But ultimately, the story she's telling you is that this is a poor family. They did what they did to survive, and Cadmus was willing to do more, go further, sell more of himself to get what he wanted. But then when he got it, he didn't share. And this place, she feels, he owed her. She brought him into this world. She fed him when he was nothing. And then when he became something, he was gone. She's a bitter, angry, and very afraid old woman.
And the intention I get from her out of all that is
she wants this place, and she was willing to go to this ridiculous length to get it. Now, the grenade is sitting on the counter. It's a stun grenade. It might not even work.
Right.
These guys don't have the cred to have actually bought such a thing.
Right. Do you have a place to stay tonight?
Here, this is our place.
So I'd assume the answer is no. However, you should stay here this evening. I would like to talk to you even further. Cadmus was one of the closest things I had to a friend. So is Yorn. Such as he can be sometimes. But I'd like to know more about him.
The building and the apartment notify you that police and rescue services have arrived. Would you like them to be admitted?
I say, when I received that message, in a kind of like a half screaming, half crying way, a sound of Yorn's voice that has no confidence, like that. It still has some confidence, but it's shaky. Like the rescue team has arrived, and then the door open because I can open it with my head,
Yep.
and they enter, and the coffee guy at the same time arrives.
Yeah, sure. Because he's internal. Yeah. So that's right. So there's two cyber technicians, and they're really neat. They're nothing like the grease monkeys of the streets. You know, these guys are clean, professional, formal uniforms, and they recoil in horror at the sight of your leg. And one of them actually says under his breath, but you can still hear it, "What is that?"
I said no. I said, don't worry, friend. Make it better, please. Please make it better.
And Icarus turns to them, and he's seems to be in his element. You know, he say, "Oh, this is this model number, and the joint snapped here under pressure," and you know, and they begin to have a discussion about your injury.
And I'm like, yeah, I have those. You know, they've grown with me since I was young. You know, and I think that's the problem actually, because I you know, I'm a tall fella, and I got that when I was like in my teenage years. But the thing is that they are half bio, so it's but second gen, and so they grew on me with me. But I had like this extra growth real fast, so they were tight a little, you know. So I did that movement, and they couldn't hold it. They couldn't hold it anymore. So
It's true. These things have been illegal for
yeah.
10 years.
Yeah, when used right, I mean, so they put it in me, but they couldn't. Well, forget about it. It was from somewhere you don't even want to go. So yeah.
It's like not everybody. The two technicians are extremely uncomfortable. You know, you're in pain. You're wearing, you know, from their point of view, I can't even describe. It's like you got a wooden stump on your leg like a pirate or something. It's like, oh my God. You know, they're just horrified. But they begin to work.
Right. And
The coffee guy is kind of standing there saying, "Somebody wants some coffee?"
absolutely, yes, please, all of us. And I look at the officers, and I say, "Forgive us, my friend became quite." And I look at Gaia. So my friend became quite upset when he fell and overreacted.
Well, the I call the detective though, so it's the guy that came earlier.
Yeah. So he hasn't arrived yet, but the technicians, the rescue team, the EMTs, right, are here.
And Tess will have mercy and throw whatever cred their way electronically that they might require for the service.
Okay. And then Detective Alouette returns.
Detective, would you care for some coffee?
No. It's an interesting party you have going on. I'm not sure why I was invited.
So I say, yes, I called you, detective. So we have a situation. I think we there's a misunderstanding or some glitch that I can't talk too much right now, and I'm like, and you know, they gave me some of those tranquilizer thing that, you know, so I'm like, ooh, a little bit foggy, and so I'm like, okay, so yeah, I think that this lady here claims to be Cadmus Buchanan mother. Her name is Gaia Buchanan. She doesn't show me the official paper, but she claimed that this is his rightful inheritance, and I have the paperwork that I gave you earlier, and it could be interesting if you can show them to her and see see actually if they're fake or if they're real, or maybe make a search to see if you can find her paper. I don't know.
It's fine. I've been over this with the lawyers already. Cadmus legally owned this apartment. He making eye contact with you, actually, not Gaia. And he legally willed it to you. It's his choice, entirely within the law. I interviewed Miss Buchanan, and she, through that interview, became aware of her son's death. And I guess it's at that moment that she decided she would concoct this plan. And he kind of shoots her a look, but he's still really only talking to Jorn. So they have no right to be here. They have no legal claim to the place. This apartment is now yours.
Well, that clarifies the matter.
So if you'd like me to call some officers to escort them from the premises, you're within your rights, although I'll remind you I'm a homicide detective, not a legal consultant or...
Well, but I was about to call you anyway. Here's some new information, and I gave him the data that I found in the mirror. Yeah, just a few minutes after you left earlier, we found that data in the mirror, but it's encrypted, so I can't figure out what it is. So I just sent it to you. So the file is already loaded, so maybe that can help the investigation. And if you don't mind, I think I'm in my rightful place to know what this data is, because it came with my property. It's mine. This data is, it's also my property, so I'd like to see it as well.
There are many things in life that we would like to have, but no. There's a lot of data here. I'll keep you informed again. And he's looking more at Tess now.
I wanna probe him because I have piercing gaze, and I wanna know if he's trustworthy.
Do it.
So it's a 7.
So tell us how Jorn is feeling now.
Yes. Well, I am on the ground. I'm in pain. But I am I'm peaceful though, because I received the thing. I'm not joyful anymore, but I'm in peace. I am being repaired, and I have a drug that takes away the pain, so it's kind of like a morphine foggy thing.
Here's the thing I want to know. Why isn't he mad? How was he able to hang on to his tenet of peacefulness? Right?
Because
is it a home invasion and
yeah, but because he's not, because it's against his faith. It's against his faith to get mad and angry and all that. So he's he's just a strong-willed individual. He's dogmatic. He's not gonna go against the tenet of his faith.
So
one of my belief is that my calling is the only meaningful purpose in this world. So becoming mad or going against the natural cohesion of the whole is go against his belief. What do you mean? How did he get there?
Like as a teenager, we can assume that he wasn't that way. This is something that he's learned as he's grown in his faith. So how did he get to the point where he could be like this?
There was a lot of violence, when he was a kid, in the streets, and he got bullied around. He got scared a lot, and eventually, he met the Unified, and they helped him in becoming more confident and find a purpose instead of running away and hiding in the streets. And that was a good way of doing that. So being fearless. I mean.
All right. So a realization that fear and violence are connected.
Yeah, yeah. And the anxiety is, you make your own experience. You're free to choose the way you want to perceive things. So you can go from a fearful place, anxiety place, or you can go in a nice and peaceful and joyful matter. The drug helps a lot for that, actually. So of course it's part of the program, of the Unified. But yeah, so I am peaceful. I I want to see if he's trustworthy. So I have a 8. No, I have a 7.
You rolled a 7.
Yeah, I rolled a 7, and I have a free question. So my question is, how does he really feel? How does so when he says to me, there's a lot of things we want to have in this world, and I just asked him, since these data are my property and I'm willing to help him, I want to see, what's in the mirror. So I want to know how he really feels when he says that to me.
All right. Frankly, the base emotion here is one of disgust. He's over there in the mad category, but receiving the data has unsettled him. He hasn't had time to decrypt it or read all of it, but knowing who it's from and that it was freely given by these people, has had an effect on him, a calming effect on him. But I mean, he's like many police officers who have to maintain that emotional distance between themselves and the people that they're interrogating, right? And he deals with the worst kind of humanity. So there's a pretty big wall between him and others. So he's very walled off and calculating. So
Yeah,
that's how he's feeling. He wants to maintain that distance.
Mm-hmm. And my question now is, what do you intend to do? So what he's going to do? Is he no? But I mean, toward the data, does he intend to actually give me back the crypted version?
It's almost guaranteed that he'll keep you in the loop with this investigation.
Does it mean, I want to know, he will give me back the info? That's the question.
What I said is what I meant. He'll keep talking to you about the investigation, but you still have the info. I mean, it didn't move from you to him. He has a copy. So
I know, but I mean the version where the information is available, because right now I can't see anything. It's 1 and 0s. So that's what my question was.
Yeah. Well, at this point, this is not something he wants to do. He doesn't know what it is. So
I'll give him the benefit of a doubt. So I'm like, all right. So, well, thank you for. Before he's about to leave, I'm like, listen. Here we are, 4 people, 3 people, and Tess, my friend here. We want to know more about what happened to Cadmus. So please, Detective Mr. Alouette, keep us in the loop. It will be really appreciated.
Oh, I will. Now, if you don't need me,
Thank
No.
you, Detective.
Yeah, thank you very much. I don't think so.
And I escort Detective Alouette to the door. And as I let him outside, say, Detective, feel free to contact me if you have any questions. I do have experience with this data, and some of it may be puzzling. And by the way, should you find Bjorn on the ground directly beneath this window with the window broken at some point in the future, I would like to confess now. Have a good evening.
Don't joke with a homicide officer, lady.
I'm afraid I'm not joking, Detective. We should talk soon.
All right. And he departs. Now, what are you going to do about these people in your apartment?
Yeah.
Sounds like you're ripping them to shreds.
Yeah, the poor people. Well, I don't want to speak for the owner of the apartment, but the impression that Tess is giving to Gaia and to Icarus at this point is they're free to stay the night if they want to. Because she really wants to talk to them. However,
So I'm you know me, I'm being repaired. So I'm trying to relax. You know, I can actually go into like a meditative state where I'm on the ground being fixed up. I'm holding Icarus's big, I don't know how you guys say that in English, but when you have like tough skin and yeah. These big ends, like I have long and skinny fingers, and he has like these thick, short, big ass fingers, and he's holding my hand, and I'm squeezing it tight, and I'm just in pain, So I try to hold it there as these guys are working on me, with these laser guns, like.
and they're making constant uplinks to get information about this tech that they heard about in university as a human rights violation and stuff.
Icarus is there on the side trying to send them some info. I'm reading in this forum at the moment that this model shouldn't be dealt with on people with the best replacement component, and they made some, they call some deliveries, so they have special parts coming at the door.
Yep.
While they are doing this.
Now Tessa stepped up to handle the bill, and Tess, this will drain the bank account.
Alrighty. Drain it entirely.
Basically.
Fantastic. I look at Yorn. I don't say anything because this would be pointless at this point in time. So I pay. But as Tess can multitask in the internet, there are several things that processes she's running in the background that she's meant to run since their interaction with the detective, since they've arrived at level 4, and she's had time to think about what's going on. And the first process she stops immediately because she was going to buy dinner and was thinking of perhaps buying some more appropriate clothes for their guests. However, that is immediately stopped. The second process she was interested in was she realizes that the etiquette that she's been programmed with, the behavioral subroutines that she had, were all essentially to act as a woman of the night, to be able to interact with people on various levels in that particular manner. So very limited behavioral repertoire. Behavioral subroutines that would allow her to act in the sprawl, order food in a restaurant. But she's become more painfully aware that her communications with other people are stilted, that she's clearly not behaving normally. So she's decided to scour, for the net, the veil for better behavioral subroutines, the etiquette, but specifically the etiquette of level 4. How does one act? How does a lady act? However, she's also looking for the behavioral etiquette appropriate for level 5. And if she can get at level 6, all the way up to level 9, whatever she can actually download. But her main intention at this point is to become facile in the behavioral etiquette of 4 and 5. And last but not least, and the other thing that she was been thinking of doing, she realizes that sooner or later their bank account is going to be drained. She wasn't aware it would be this fat soon, but apparently these old cybernetics are quite expensive. And she understands that there's ways to move money around, that clearly the X series, had money transferred in their accounts. So she's looking for loopholes, ways she can actually siphon funds to her own account, essentially to be a thief. Because she realizes that Yorn's not going to bring in any money of any real amount. She's not willing to use her old profession. And she's not quite sure what she would do. And she realized there's quite an opportunity to simply take money from people. So she's just looking for ways to do that.
Okay.
These are all just background processes that are running the whole time for her. But the primary would be the etiquette and the theft of funds.
While Yorn is on the floor, as this is all taking place, you receive a private message from a personal number, not the departmental number, from Detective Alouette. And he has the unfortunate first name of John. And the message is simply, "I'll be in touch." And what this represents mechanically in the game is that you now have an obligation on him.
Gotcha. One obligation. Alrighty.
So that's for Yorn, not Tess.
Right,
One
I got
obligation.
you. Yeah.
Okay. So as the functional member of the household, Tess is making some financial decisions. Yorn, what are you going to do with these people in your house?
So I received this obligation from John.
John Alouette.
Yeah, so Guy has an obligation on me, so he's supposed to bring me back some data. That's what it means, right? Because sometimes
that could be that could be how you use it. He owes you one.
Yeah, he owes me one. Yeah, there you go. Okay. But sometimes I invert.
Yep, he owes you one.
Okay, so after the people dealt with my leg and they leave.
With strong advice that you need to get legal, modern cyberware.
Yeah, I feel this moment because I was meditating, and my the whole process lasts for a while. This was having this discussion with Gaia and Acris in the meantime. I was not really interested and I was not listening. I was in my head and in my contemplative mode. And also one thing that I do when I meditate is that I go to my online preaching platform and I try to organize, some some marketing and some preaching, you know, bots. You know, these preaching bots is the kind of stuff that appears on in people interfaces, you know, out of nowhere when you don't ask for them, and you need to click. You need to do one click, one tap, one action to, you know. So I'm organizing this thing, and I'm preaching, and I start to preach. So I sit in the corner, you know, in front of the window where the connection is good, and I take a look and I get myself inspired, and I preach all night, and I'm really tired, and I just, you know, I answer some messages I receive from my because I have like this supervisor guy that we met in the party. You know, we remember that, Ivan, where
Yeah.
so I don't remember his name though, because it's been a long time, almost like more than 6 months.
But the
Victor.
question is he
Victor.
still alive?
Yeah, is he still alive?
Yeah. And well, I received some messages from him, and he is still alive. And I received some messages, and he changed his name. Now he has like this new name, Victor Z, with a Z. And Victor Z is his new name online. And I just have like this written message from him. And saying that, well, he hasn't seen me on the street for the longest time, that the menace, you know, all the ultimatum by the police should not be something that I should be scared of, and that I should be on the corner preaching. And if he doesn't see me there, like in a couple of days, he's gonna send people after me and all that, because he's scared for my life. So he wants to know if I'm still alive. He wants to know what's going on. He needs some information. So I send him all the information, where I'm at, what I'm doing. I send him like the protocol the preaching on my platform. I send him all the protocol, and so he see what I've been doing. And I'm telling him that I am on a new mission now on the level 4, and I need some contact for that level of the unified. I need to get in touch with the new community here, the community that is established on that layer. And boom, I send in this message, and I fall asleep because the day has been long, and I need to rest.
So are you letting them stay?
I don't even recall. Yeah. I fall asleep.
Look. Yeah.
On the floor.
So watching Jorn fall asleep, I and having drank some more gin and smoked some more cigarettes, looking at the amount of bottles of gin to the left. Not that it really does anything to me. I just like the way it tastes. Look back over at Gaia and said, "So
let's look at the fiction that has been supplied to us by Jean-Francois. Jorn cuts all the rest of you out. He receives his care. Eventually the technicians leave. He goes over by the window and he pays attention to his own inner life. This is a long period of time. He's out, or he's in, or he's connected to something else. So while the technicians are working, when the detective is there, all of this is understandable. The detective leaves, the technicians leave, and then Jorn's acting like you're not there. So that's awkward and builds the tension back up in Gaia. But she's starting to recognize that no one is asking her to leave. So she's doing things like take off her coat, and bustle around and see what's in cupboards and cabinets. And
I can roleplay Icarus if you want to. Meanwhile.
Yeah, sure. You get the sense of gentle giant.
Yeah, the gentle giant. So he takes his clothes off as well, and sit not on the opposite wall of Tess, you know, like that, like a L in the L position, and kind of stretch his leg on the ground. He's been in this like position, you know, half like squat position, weird position next to the body for a couple hours, trying to help out. So he's stretching. He's like, oh, that's been a long day. This guy has been lucky to receive such treatment. So, who are you? What's your name? I think Tess. I've recalled in the back of the conversation. How are you?
My name is Tess.
What have you been up to? Yeah, fine. So not a lot of furniture here. Right, I think I'm gonna have to sleep on the floor.
You may sleep on the floor if you'd like. At this point, I do not think that Jorn is going to entertain us this evening.
He's snoring.
He's like this.
Do you hear some snore? In the corner, just a like, and he's dreaming. So he's making these as he's dreaming, like something that seems like really tense and not cool. And he has twitches. You know, some people twitches when they sleep.
I'm afraid there's not any more food.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, well, I haven't ate like in a couple of days, so I don't care. I'm kind of like, I need to shred some weight anyway.
Suit yourself.
Yeah. What are you up to? You said you're synthetic? I haven't seen a synthetic model that good in a long time. And I'm not even sure if I recall such a good model. Are you new? Are you like a new wave of product?
I would suggest a subject change.
Why? Why are you so what's the big deal? I mean, look at me. We cannot even call me a human still. I'm kind of like halfway through. I'm not even sure if I will finish my life with more flesh or more aluminum.
Would that make you unhuman? What would have to replace for you not to be human any longer?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's always I'm not interested in these kind of questions. This is some like cloud shoveling. I'm not shoveling clouds. I'm not a philosopher. I just want my mother to feel better about herself. How do you feel, Ma? How do you feel, Ma?
Well, I'm looking forward to our guests leaving.
Well, it's been a tough day. Why don't you just, get some rest, and we'll talk tomorrow?
I'm going to go in here, and she's intending to move into the room that Cadmus was calling to you from. She's going to take that front bedroom.
Look, I would prefer if you take the other room.
How much do you prefer it?
Enough to sway.
Request, you're going to try and sway.
I'm going to try to sway.
All right.
And I am at this point. It gets me a little mad that she's there. I mean, I've invited the woman into the house.
Freaking guy.
Her son has been nothing but rude ever since everybody left.
Oh.
And the woman now has clearly, after the detective has clearly spelled out to her,
Tess is a pain in the ass. That's all I have.
This place is not hers.
She's a pain in the ass.
Despite all of those, despite all this woman acts in a presumption to try to boss me around. What she is or is not going to do. So that's a +2 because I'm pissed off.
You guys both took +2 for bad.
Wow. Yeah, we both had +2 for bad.
And this freaking meat sock is starting to tell me. And that is 8. That is a 10.
Okay, so 10 on Sway. That's fine. And she's going to comply. Remember, you are mad.
Right.
On a 10, they do it and choose one.
Yeah.
So what does she want? I'm going to choose. So
Right, that's correct.
she wants something. You're going to have to give it to her. You're going to have to give it to her now.
Okay, what is that?
She wants to stay.
Permanently.
And you know the kind of life she's coming from. So, you're bulldozing her. She recognizes the anger. She's been the target of abuse her whole life. She's going to flow like water around it and try to, I'll whatever, but she's feeding into your sense of powerfulness by saying, I'll do whatever, I can help you. I can keep the place clean and,
I look at her. I look at Yorn, or Yorn is, and all of a sudden I just kind of get a wicked smile. Yes, I believe that will do nicely. Yes, we could use some help here. I think that will work very well.
So she goes into the back room and closes the door. Okay.
Excellent.
We will close the door on this day, unless you have something specific you'd like to do.
No, really, those two background processes Tess will now devote more time to.
Okay. Where?
Where? Well, she's going to sit in that main bedroom because she's still pretty interested in what was going on, why she saw something there, why she heard something there.
Okay.
So more or less commandeered that bedroom. Yorn clearly has decided he wants to sleep in the living room. At that point,
Okay.
she really does not care where Icarus decides to say, and she doesn't really need sleep, but she's gonna sit in that bedroom.
And that's the really interesting thing, is in that front bedroom, as you go in to run those processes, something does happen to Tess, and if anything, it's sleep. So in the morning, when you wake, you have the strangest sense of an unusual experience. Walking through the clouds, and around you distantly there's the sprawl, yet you're walking through clouds. And ahead of you is some kind of leaping animal. You can almost see it, not quite. You have a sense of it. But is it a predator, like a wolf? Is it prey, like a lamb? Every time you think you have a grip on the idea, it's lost. And then it is morning and you are awake.
Curious.
And food is being cooked in the kitchen by Gaia with the not very helpful assistance of Icarus.
And Yorn is sitting at the counter. You know, like he took the upper part of his one piece,
His cape
down. Yeah, down. So he has it like lying around his waist, you know, and he's sitting on the thing and he's shirtless. And you can see a couple tattoos on the shiny skins. They are moving, you know, they are traveling across and changing form a little bit, you know, as he decide the design with his mind as he eat. And when he sees you with a mouthful, it's like, Beth, these huevo. Best I've ate in a long time. Come on in.
big smile. She rubs your head, you know.
And I'm like, Tess, and come. Let me give you a hug. Thank you for the help yesterday. You definitely saved my day.
You have no idea. However,
They did a great job.
Thank you, Jordan. And I grabbed some coffee, grabbed some eggs because I am fond of eggs. Jordan, I had an interesting experience last night. I need your input on. And the whole time as I'm talking to him, I'm almost just ignoring the two as if they're servants. And you know, if we are some sort of wealthy people, and they're there, but they're not really there. You know. I had an experience that I need your input on, Jordan. And if anything, you may or may not notice that Tess is beginning to talk normally, not quite so stilted, because I presume some of this background processes of etiquette have paid off, at least with level 4 quality. Maybe not level 5. I don't know. I had an experience last night. I believe it is called dreaming.
Yeah, I'm listening.
I had a vision of myself on the clouds. There was an animal of some sort, but I could not make it out. Do you believe that dreams have significance?
Well, I just, you know, I usually don't dream. I'm not the type. So
It was my understanding that dreams and dream interpretation were important to religions.
I don't know. I don't have dreams. I don't recall dreams. I wake up in the morning and it's a brand new day.
I see. I am sorry.
Don't worry. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I'm not worried. I've been interested in your experience of the unified, of the whole.
Oh yeah. Oh, and then well, dreams. I mean, I never asked myself the question. I don't recall.
But your religion is visions are very important to you, are they not?
Well, we are awake when we have those. You know, when we go through those meditative practices, or we dance in big parties with the music and the light effects and stuff. You know, so it's not dreamlike. You know, at least not for me.
What made me think of it is I do not know where that vision came from, and I'm not certain. Because I understand, you know where visions
come from God. It comes from the One. It's being part of the One. When you know, when we are experiencing these alterate perceptions, we are in communion. You know.
And what is the One?
That, my friend, is the question. I don't have no answer.
Does that not seem unsatisfying?
No. That's what we call fate. That's fate.
Jordan, when you gave the detective the information,
yeah,
you asked him, I believe you wanted the answer. But by giving him the information, you asked him the question.
Yeah.
But you will not be satisfied until you receive the answer.
Yeah.
Does that not go against what you just said?
No, no,
And
because
one,
I have faith. I have faith he will give me the answer, and I will receive it, whenever he has it. I trust the
but yet
guy.
the answer is more important
But
than
yeah,
the
yeah, but
question.
but I trust the guy. That's a guy. That's That's a human. It's just a part. It's not the whole thing. You ask me, what is the whole thing? I can't tell you. This guy's name's John Alouette, and he owes me one. That I know. Don't worry. Don't worry. No, we're gonna get some answer. By the way, Tess, today I have something to do. I think you should come with me. Actually, we have received a message from Victor. Victor is an old friend of mine. We changed his name, and he gives me a contact for a guy here. His name is called Akhenaten. Akhenaten, and so it's a link move. And I have his address. He lives a couple neighborhood east from here. So would you dare to come with me? So it's a link. I just want to make the link move for the guy.
Yep, do it.
Yeah. So Akhenaten is like the same name than the Egyptian. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
And I was peaceful in the morning. So I have a 10. And so I was just, peaceful, eating my stuff.
So you've accepted the state where you're going to be living with the Buchanans?
Yeah. It's not, for me, it's not a problem.
Hey, the eggs are good.
The eggs are good, and Icarus held my hand during the process. Like, so, I mean, and he helped the thing. He helped the guys. I'm not scared from about these people. I'm not neither a greedy man that want to keep things for himself or something like that. So it's link 10. On a 10 plus, the relationship is in good standing. So
That's the
yeah.
first time.
Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah.
Ever.
So this guy is what we call in the unified community the spokesperson, which is the guy, which is one of the leader of our group, but on this level. So he's the spokesperson for the level here. It's an arch. We call them the archbishop, and so I'm gonna be working with him in these parts, and so I want to meet him and start and show him my platform online. See if we can do something about it. Increase the data, increase the volume of person we can reach, and all that. So, and maybe he knows about what we are trying to stop here, or actually, maybe he has some information about what happened, with Cadmus, because, and also with you. So we didn't have time to discuss about that, Tess. We need to have a conversation. So we have some time. The meeting is tonight. So what do you think? What happened to you, Tess? What happened that day when you shot a whole lot of my friends and killed them?
I was not there.
We're not there.
I was not there. I was given the order to go there, but I refused. That cost me.
Oh,
I did, in fact, kill Kieran, but I chose the lesser of two evils.
Oh, okay. So I've been lied to. I received bad information. That's what you mean?
Many X-series were given the call to go.
Okay, so
assassinate those at the temple.
okay. So there were a lot of X series there, killing all these unified, and you were not there. You were not part of them.
This is correct.
Oh, you're not lying to me, aren't you?
No, why would I lie to you?
Oh,
I have
I
killed
don't
several
know.
people. It does not matter which ones I tell you I've killed.
Okay, so you killed the unified.
I did not.
Okay.
Not in the famous massacre at the temple, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You were not there.
I was not there.
Okay, I received bad information then. Okay, so, but that's good news. That's good news.
Does it matter
So
which people I kill?
it's not about this. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that I thought you were part of that massacre there. So you killed other people. I mean, what can I do? I cannot be the burden of your responsibility. So it's
Would it make a difference if I did kill them, the unified?
yeah. Well, I would. Some of them are my friends. I would have talked to you. I would have wondering, what happened that day. But if it's not you, well, it's okay. I don't know. I don't know what happened that day.
But the other people that I killed that were not unified in the temple, their deaths not matter as well? Are they not part of the whole?
I don't understand what you're talking about. You were there or you were not there?
I was not. I am asking hypothetical questions now, Jorn. I
Oh
did, in fact,
well.
kill other people. I did not kill
Oh
your friends.
yeah.
Are your
Well,
friends more important?
that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. I was wondering about that event. Okay, so listen, Tess. What are you? What's the thing with the X series? What happened? Like you received some order somehow. What when we were separated? What happened?
I received orders to continue orders to bring Cadmus to another X series, and when that
Oh,
failed, to kill it myself. I was also given orders to kill others like Cadmus. I was given orders to kill members of the Unified.
what is order? What is other like Cadmus?
What is orders? What are they like?
Yeah. What does it mean? Other like Cadmus?
Orders to kill Cadmus. Oh, others like Cadmus? Others with the same disorder. Those who have been infected by the veil. The HOL series.
Okay. And so do you know who gave you the order or what?
I know that Rich turned them off, and I was told that it was from Winston Izumi of the conglomerates, was the leader of the X series program. So I assumed all the orders came from there.
What do you think we should do about these people? Because Cadmus
The
did
X.
not die in vain. I think we should try to get some closure, and get some answers about why they created you as like this special unit to clean the mess they did or something. It's so unclear, all that. Should we do something about it to stop that madness?
We are surrounded by madness, Sean.
I'm sorry?
We are surrounded by madness. The Veil created people like Cadmus after Chiron's experiment went wrong. The X series were created or reprogrammed to kill those like Cadmus because the conglomerates feared the Veil becoming sentient, taking over. But that is only symptoms of the larger problem, as I've come to see it.
How would you describe that larger problem?
The problem, Jorn, is people.
People?
I have observed you since my awakening. And you are without integrity, You're without honor. You're without direction.
Mm-hmm.
Without true compassion, true sympathy. You are duplicitous, unclean.
Yeah, humanity is really, really a harsh place. It's a harsh environment. Yeah, it's an experience of pain and suffering from the beginning to the end. That's for sure. That's for sure. Now, what do you think we should do about it for Cadmus's death not to be in vain? Should we try to reach these people, the conglomerates? Work in pair with the Detective Alouette?
I'm not certain, Jorn. I've asked myself these questions. I used to think that is not the right term, but I was convinced that the correct thing to do would be to honor Cadmus's wishes. I felt strongly for Cadmus. He was a friend, somebody that treated me well. He did treat me like a toaster, but somebody that seemed to have a certain level of understanding. I could identify a kindred spirit in him. I believed and still would like to honor his wishes, but his wishes were to expose
Yeah.
what made him the way he was.
Yeah.
But expose it to who? To what end? To expose it to other people.
I feel like Cadmus wanted to start a revolution. He wanted the people to wake up and see what was happening, and I think he just wanted to make it common knowledge that this is happening. I think that's what
Yeah.
he was looking for.
Now, just for fictional clarity, I'm assuming I'm like picturing this discussion taking away from Cadmus's family at this point. We've kind of moved out of the kitchen.
Yeah, as soon as
But,
you diss them,
right,
you've established territorial dominance over Gaia, and she's employing manipulative hooks to get to stay. So as soon as you start to have your private conversation, they leave the room.
Right. So I'm just setting up the idea that the next thing Tess says is we need to like set up a revolution. Or as Jorn is talking about setting up a revolution, I said, Jorn, the revolution, the people that are going to revolt, the type of people that are going to revolt, they're in the next room. That will be the final recipients of Cadmus's message. That does not fill me with joy or make me feel better about the situation. With confidence. I do not have confidence.
I know life is hard. That's for sure. Life is really hard, and it will be painful. But I think that's what we should do. I think that's what we should do. If we want to be coherent with Cadmus's death, we should. The only way to honor his death is to make that the most public as possible. And I have an idea. I think that I'll tell Akhenaten, I'll expose to Akhenaten this knowledge, after getting in touch with the data we found in the mirror, see if it can be relevant and help us in that way. But I'd like to expose the whole story to Akhenaten and ask him if he knows some people in high places to make this story public, to make Cadmus a martyr, and give good reason for people to have faith in the unified and the whole, and to utilize my platform as a strategy of preaching by exposure of what's going on, to give people a real hope into a system of belief that will help them enlighten their life and deal with the situation ahead. And that will be something that will be detrimental to the veil, to the processes that are going on. So people are going to be aware of what's happening actually, and and trying to find different solution on their own. And I think that the Unified is a good platform to do so. And I'm pretty sure this is my intention. I find my calling now. I can bring them together, and I think it's a good way to expose the situation to a lot of people. I think that's what Cadmus would have wanted.
So Tess takes up her coffee cup as she's drinking, as she's listening to Yorn, and at the last sentence, she like smashes it on the table, just destroying it. Puts a dent in the table. Hits it with a tremendous amount of force. Something that Icarus could have done. And she stands up and says, "Yorn, you're not interested in honoring Cadmus's death or carrying out his wishes. You're interested in perverting them for your own means. Preaching your message is more important than honoring his death or getting the message out."
I think it's not a means to an end. I think it's utilizing the resources that we have at the moment. It's
to further your ends.
The Unified are an organized group of people with a lot of influence and resources to be able to spread a message fast and clearly with different kind of platform. And so I think it's a good way to start. Do you know how many preachers are out there online, on the streets, yelling at people listening? It's just a great network of communication. That's what I mean. And this is all we have right now. And this is and it do serve my calling. And so you're with me, you're against me, I will do it anyway, my old friend.
And Tess looks at Yorn and lights a cigarette and says, "Enjoy your meeting." And turns her back on him.
All right. So I go back to the other room. I see Icarus. I look at him and I'm like, "Hey, are you in for a walk? I have some places to go, and if you're down to come with me, if you're willing to come with me, I'll be pleased to have some company. I have some cool people, important people to meet." And
he doesn't seem to want to leave his mother, and there's a little bit of suspicion in her eyes that this is some kind of trick to get him out of the apartment.
all right, so well, I'll go alone.
But you could persuade him, or just let it go.
I let it go. I don't care. I will give a call to. I will give a call to John Alouette and lean on him because he owe me some.
Ooh.
Okay. So obligation move. Lean on. When you ask someone to do something you want and use obligation you have on them to make things square between yourself with doing so. If they do it, if you raise one obligation, you mark with them for each thing you ask them. So there's no dice roll.
Right. It's a resource move.
It's just a resource. So I'm just saying, yeah.
If you want to use your obligation to get this information.
Yeah. So there you go. So I want to know the data. So I send him an email, say, "Hey, can we meet at your office? I'm on my way out of my place. If you're available, or just send me the data. I want to know what's up." So I'm just sending him a message like, "Do you have any development on the data I gave you?"
You get just a brief message in response, right? Just in text only. It's an address that says "Meet me here."
So,
and the location is where you last saw Cadmus.
So it's not on level 4. It's like back on the ground.
Yeah, it's the old warehouses next to the water.
I'm asking him, oh, can you send it to me? I will meet you there, but I cannot today. I have an appointment, you know, on level 4. But if you can send me the information, in the meantime, I'll meet you afterward.
Suit yourself is the response, and the decrypted information is returned to you.
All right. So so I tell him, well, if you so we meet tomorrow, give me a time and I'll be there. And thank you, by the way.
There's no responses to either of those messages.
Okay, so I take while I'm walking toward the exit of the building, I just want to see. You know, I'm going through the files.
Well, as we've described, Jorn has been out of things. You know, stone most of the time, meditating and whatnot. So he recognizes in this decrypted form that he's seen a lot of this information already. When he and Tess were together looking at the data, when he downloaded it, right, when he sent the trigger in the mirror, it was all decrypted. All the information was there. It was just a massive amount of it, right, streaming by. Tess has this information now also. The file that you sent is what Cadmus sent you, encrypted for sending. So the police department was able to eventually crack this information. He's now sent it back to you in its full and expanded form.
Okay.
And these are names of other victims of the disease. These are, theories, speculation about the motives of the Veil. This is the testimony of Rich, the testimony of Chiron. The progress of the disease and cover-ups that in watchful eye in the police department, these kinds of things. The death of Winston Izumi at the hands of his own X-series.
I save it and I put a protection device on it in my data bank, and I'm on my way to meeting Akhenaten. And now I'm looking at the time, though. I'm sorry, guys. It's a good natural ending for me here. Because it's 6:45 and I have something at like 7:15, so I don't know what you. Maybe I can just
establish what Tess is going to do, and then we'll do our normal.
Yeah.
So there's this ugly break between you, and Jorn leaves the apartment later on in the day by himself. Tess is intending to do what as the start of our next session?
At this point, Tess is pretty much ignoring ignoring Gaia in the apartment. For the most part, she's just kind of realized that she's not going to be forthcoming, she's not going to get very much information out of her at this particular point. So she's perfectly okay with having her as servant. She's not scared of her. I mean, what is this woman really going to do to her? So she's spending her time in that room, seeing if she can hear anything else, see anything else, because she's just fascinated. What, I've clearly seen something, but Tess is going to spend her time actually in the Veil, looking to communicate with the Veil itself.
Okay, give me that probe roll before we go.
All right, because that's what she really wants. She decided, I want to go talk to the lady herself.
or not pro, but lift the veil. I mean,
Lift the veil. All right. And what is she right now? I hate to say it, but she's still bad.
Still bad.
That
doesn't have a lot of choice.
That conversation with Bjorn is just really frosted her. She was hoping that that they could act together despite their differences, and she was just so disillusioned by his willingness to pollute, in her eyes, the looking for the truth, or carrying out Cadmus's wishes with, hey, this is a great opportunity to go preach and do my highest calling. She's just furious. So she's like, you know what? If he's not going to help me, I'll go to her. Even though she is my enemy, presumably. So here we go. So she's mad. And that is, oh, good gravy. That is a 14, kids.
Jesus Christ.
That's probably successful.
Yeah.
So we'll deal with that as the opening of the next session and the meeting with Akhenaten as we accelerate toward the conclusion of the campaign.
Right on.
Yes. So we did a mistake. I did a mistake at the beginning with the communion move, and you will understand a little bit more of my what I did today, my behavior. So I had a 7, remember, at the communion?
Yeah.
And so 7 is not just a surplus, it's a surplus and a want.
Yes.
So my surplus was stupor, but my want was preach. So I needed to preach more in that session. So this is why I went into that meditative space, and then I did a link move to have like this contact. This is why I really pushed forward that belief, because I had this want, but I didn't want. I realized it in the middle of play, and I was like, oh shit! I because I read it on the sheet, and I'm like, fuck.
Oh, I had that from the beginning. The way you set up your faith, it's either cred or preach. So
no. The surplus is stupor or cred, and the want, it's judgment, preach, and penance. So I had 3 choice in want. So I decided to take preach. Yeah. But you could have decided for me.
Yeah, I'm supposed to. There's a few times today where you have taken on the role of the MC. It was something we're going to have to talk about more deeply.
I didn't take the role of the MC. I just forgot to ask to. No,
I don't mean that. I mean, that was something we should have said explicitly. The want that I wanted was preach.
Oh, so
because I don't want, from my point of view as the MC, I don't want you guys sitting in this apartment for the rest of the campaign. I want you to go do something. But
the thing though, we should have been
chosen to use the time to argue with each other, which is interesting. But the time for that is passing. So what I'm talking about is making decisions for NPCs and who's alive and who's not. Those are MC decisions. They're not player decisions. So if we want to have Mr. Z still alive and active, that's like a link move or an obligation move. It's a something, right? There has to be some risk to have those advantages present. So that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
well, I just want to make sure we understand each other. So the want should have been stated at the beginning. We forgot.
Right.
So I forgot to say, I have a surplus. I said stupor, and we went forward. So that's why I decided to push preach at the end and say, you see, at least I got back onto it, somehow, because it's a pain in the ass to be obligated to preach,
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, so that's one thing. Now the term with Victor Z, I changed the name because I was, I decided to say, hey, I received a message from this guy, Victor Z. Now decide if it's the same or not, because it's not the same name. It's not just Victor. So receiving a message from this guy, I mean, was just some kind of a trigger. It's not an advantage whatsoever. It's just a trigger to have a contact for my link move. So I don't see the advantage of bringing a Victor Z. It's just information from my community. I'm part of a community, so I receive messages, and you know.
Well, I don't argue that. What I'm saying is that the Unified were all brought together, right? Jorn was not at that meeting because he was trying to help Cadmus, and then a significant amount of them were killed. So deciding that the only other Unified we've met was not killed, I think is I don't know. I feel that's an MC area for dealing with the tone and the mood of things. It's like,
I understand.
all the Unified were killed, but of course, no one I know was killed. It just it.
Yeah, but I said Victor Z, so it might not be the same. I said I received a message from a guy named Victor Z, so my character thought it's the same guy, but it's not the same name online, so it might be a different one. So that's why I meant by Victor Z. I said he changed his name, so I didn't meant to bring a guy just like that alive. I just said I have a message. I think it's Victor, and it's the guy that says you should be. But it's a message. It's not a video. It's like written text. So we don't know. It can be the Veil that sent that to me, right?
Anyway, that's.
Imagine if it's the Veil that sent that to me. So that Akhenaten guy can be just a trap.
Well, now it can't because we have the link move, which was successful.
Yeah, I succeed my link move. Yeah, so it's supposed to.
So it can't. So what I'm saying is as a player move, bringing in the link is cool. What I'm talking about a different thing altogether. Like I see that your intention was just to introduce the link move. I get it.
Yeah.
And, but in the moment,
you felt that I brought back Victor. I know. I understand.
Yeah. And it's like, well, I could sit here in silence for most of the session. While you guys talk to each other, but I'm supposed to interrupt with moves. But there are certain things that there's a limited number of moves. So, it's interesting. This was a point where I felt like there was a boundary crossed. Now we were thinking about two completely different things, so it's good we talked about it.
Yeah. Right. On the other hand, I didn't know that Victor was dead because I didn't know that
it hasn't been established. There's been no investigation of who among the Unified is dead. I think this is one of the triggers for Tess is like.
So if it's not established, even if I bring back Victor, it's the move it's a link that I did in the past should be still going on. So I think I wasn't so anyway. I thought I forgot that it was established that he was dead.
No.
I didn't even know that the place where they were the massacre was the same place that I went, with in my game when I was alone with Ivan. So I didn't even know that it was the same place. So anyway,
so it's interesting, right? So
yeah, well, it's an interesting situation that can happen in such a game. Because you guys said, okay, so there was a big meeting of Unified, everybody got killed there somehow. But
we don't know if everybody got killed. We just know there was a massacre, right? I'm sure some people must have gotten away. Right?
Yeah, and we don't know neither if it's the same reunion than the one I used to go.
Because there's been no investigation into into that.
Yeah. So that's the thing that can happen in such a game. Yeah.
Which, if we preserve the action of the not investigating, not calling, just continuing to preach and maintain your own thing, and then we've got Tess watching this, right? I don't want to put thoughts in Tess's head, but she's been saying, you're selfish, it kind of supports where she's coming from. It's kind of it's a good source for conflict.
Yeah, because she says that humanity is a bunch of humans. Because she was talking about humanity, she was not talking about me, right? Because no compassion. Because I've been putting myself in the middle of the gun. I have the gun on my chest, and I have no compassion. So my character is not at all thinking she's speaking about him. You know, she's speaking about humanity in general. She's looking at this is anyway the way she said, you know, my character is he's trying to save life all the time. He's trying to bring people together all the time. So he's not even touched by what she said. He said, he was hearing that speech and he was like, yeah, that's the reason why I'm in part of the Unified, because the human is dogmatic. The humans are corrupted. They are full of egotistical, you know, needs and shit. So they need people like me.
It was amazing. At 6'4", it still went right over his head. It was incredible. You know, I got news for Jorn. We're broke.
Oh, yeah.
Beach probably costs money, pal.
But that's
today's going to be kind of a sucky day.
Oh yeah,
it was interesting as I kind of watched and figured, well, let me see what happens, because you know these type of games are so out of my element normally. So I'm kind of easing my way, and like, where's my boundary? Where, you know, where do I get to make stuff up and what have you? And I'm more comfortable now. But like I part of what I have open, like on another screen, you know, is all the stuff that's been established already. And some of it's been, I think I have in different colors. Some was established, you know, in our session 0, and some was established during G's sessions. And then I have what got established and actually spoken into existence during the sessions I ran. So, you know, the times that like Tess was recalling or saying, well, this is what's going on, and I was having her state fact, those are facts that already got established, like in the fiction in the past. But I would have balked or stopped at, even when I said, hey, you know what, I wrote these intentions down like right after our last session, that Tess wants to learn etiquette of the various levels. Like, she wants to learn how to fit in. That she knew even before then that we're going to run out of money. And I think there was also, she wanted to buy some outfits from level 5, but now she's broke. But you know, even in saying this is what Tess wants to research. She wants to research the etiquette of level 5 or what have you. It was, I felt it would have been boundary crossing to say, and she gets it.
By the way, the GM move of taking away the money, I think this is a hard move, like one of the hardest move a GM can do, I think, because if I recall, tell me if I'm wrong, but this is like something that we decided at character creation. Like, when he created this character, he took like a special, you know, he bought, Ivan, tell me if I'm wrong, but you bought that idea, you bought that special thing that you have a lot
but
of
I didn't buy the money. That's something you kind of dropped on me in my solo session. So I didn't really feel that as being an extension of my character. I thought that was kind of useful.
Okay, so it
made sense for. Okay, so yeah, you can. I remember I looked at my account and you said there's 1,000 cred. I'm like, holy mackerel! So.
Oh yeah, I gave it to you like that, but you managed to have a successful thing there, isn't it?
Yeah, but I didn't see that as like really integral to my character. It made things interesting, but it also.
Oh, so okay, so no, that's good.
Eliminates the cred from the entire game because it's
a good move. Okay.
So I thought that was great. You know, I was like, well,
yeah, I know, but
yeah, there's a specific move, or there's a specific line in the Veil that says, "Don't take away the stuff, you know, that's on their sheet." You know.
Yeah, like, but that was not on the sheet. So yeah, that's right. But it's still a hard move. It's good. It's good though, because I was using it all the time. Since I have a belief called Tess is a robot, I should utilize her attribute. I was like, yeah,
she using money.
She receives money from the Veil, so I'm gonna use her. You know, I'm gonna use that thing.
Yeah,
but yeah,
this was me trying to give you the opportunity to challenge your beliefs, to create some significant conflict based on what you guys have been putting into the fiction. So Jorn's obsessed with being peaceful and connected. Well, what does he do in the face of actual violence?
Yeah.
Right? We're coming in. We're taking this place. You're going out on the street. What are you going to do?
Yeah, and what's interesting is that I didn't have to use violence, and we both managed to stay there. These people and us. So, justifying my own fate, right? This is what dogmatic people do.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's a fun way, because I'm enjoying myself, because both of you as GM are trying to push me to be mad and I just it's Gandhi. I have Gandhi in the head, and I just do Gandhi, and it works. And it did work with Gandhi back in the days.
So do you like Yorn? Where he is right now in this moment?
Yeah, right now he's really powerful, I think, in this game, because he nothing happens to him. I'm as a player, I had to hinder myself. I had to hinder myself to make it something really harsh on me, because nothing was happening.
That was the other one. Yeah, that was also the MC choice of what your condition is. But it was so over the top that I was very happy to let you.
Yeah, that was great.
Oh, yeah. You're right. I did, because you said to me, why did I did that?
Nobody knows. But it was entertaining.
It was great. It was great.
Oh my God, what happened? Wait. Wait, it's the risk is. I did risk, or I did the. Oh my God! Oh shit!
She probably would have ripped her clothes. It would have been awful. Oh my.
That's...
No, but risk. What? No, okay, wait. I think I made a mistake. So what was it? Neutralize or risk that I rolled?
It was risk.
It was risk.
Risk. So I had like a 9, I think, or 8.
There will be a cost, complication, or choice introduced by the MC.
Right.
And then instead of letting you introduce a complication,
you introduce harm to yourself.
Okay, so oh my God. Okay, so what happened? So I said I'm gonna have to listen to it again, but you said something, Anthony, and I thought that was it.
No, I was just thinking what would be. I was going through the list in my head. It's like, well, it's not a cost. Complication sounds good, but a choice is something I would, because I wanted not to spend an entire whole session in this apartment again.
So what did you say to me? Do you remember? Because
so I said there will be a cost, a complication, or choice. And then I was thinking, and then you introduced.
Oh, I thought that as a question.
Yeah, sure.
I think I heard. I must have heard. Okay, so introduce a complication now. I'm sorry.
No, it was pretty interesting.
It was dope, though. It was dope, though. But I'm sorry. I think you asked me. So what is the complication? I'm like, okay.
So as you were saying it, like very quickly, you got to the broken leg thing, and I thought I want to hear where this is going, rather than saying, wait, it's my turn. It's my turn.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I think you asked.
It kept getting worse and worse and worse. It was great. I was trying to have Steph say something, and it was worse. I'm like, this is awful. I got to hear this.
Yeah, but I really heard it wrong. I'm sorry, Anthony. So
but it took us to a place where we could bring out the dogmatic nature of Yorn, and where you could actually have a conversation there at the end. So it was worth it.
But I'm injured now.
It does mean that our last session, in order to have any sense of closure, something really has to happen.
I mean, that's on your part now to bring the pain. because otherwise I just do my belief, because the thing, it's interesting now because the game
here's the thing. I want to interrupt. Here's the thing. Okay, so we open the family arrives, right? You attempt to sway. Hey man, can't we all get along? You fail. They don't comply. They move in. They try to use force, and then things get. I'm in the position where I'm telling myself, don't interrupt, right? Because I want to hear the voices of the character. But at the same time, I'm thinking, this big gladiator guy comes in, he throws the skinny little boy out, right? But I can't do that, right? There's no attack. There's simply take harm. So I assign harm by through the opening of the door and pushing into the room, and this is just kind of steamrollered over.
All right.
And I've never really liked in any role-playing game, not just Powered by the Apocalypse, though. Wait, that doesn't happen. It's this, right? But the structure of this game is set up so that we're mostly listening to the players. And yes, the GM, the MC is supposed to, but it winds up feeling ugly. So my intention wasn't to throw you out of the apartment, but my intention was that that's what those characters wanted, was to get you out of the apartment. And this was a test of Jorn's nonviolence.
Yeah.
And
But
I don't know.
you threw me out in the.
I was unhappy through most of that scene with how it played out. It.
How come? Because everything you did happened. So you inflict me. You open how do you say that in English? You menaced me to broke in. You did, inflicting harm. Then you say I want to throw you out. You did. I went in the hallway. But Tess decided to stay in because there was a voice somewhere. So everything you said happened. So what went wrong?
I could see in that scene the kind of like roadblocks to the fiction happening. I sat back because I wasn't there, and it was kind of interesting to watch as a gamer. But I could see what was going on in that scene from Anthony's perspective.
I don't understand. I don't understand.
But what I'm talking about is just purely feeling.
Okay.
Like the feeling in the moment as it's happening. And we'll see what it looks like. You know, when we go back and watch, we'll see what the movie of it is or whatever. Right. But in the moment where I'm hearing what's happening, but I'm also thinking of, okay, what should I do? And processing what you're doing. I was like, this is.
Yeah, well, it's basically like Jorn at the door. I don't want you in. You have a grenade so that you don't come in, and then you force in. So you push. I stumble. In my description, I say I stumble. I receive the arm, but I stay there. I open my arms and I stay there. I don't want you in. You grab me, push me out. I get out. The woman gets in, but I hold the arm, so I kind of hold the guy out with me. And then we struggle a little. Meanwhile, I call the cops, and then you in though, and so I don't see what went wrong. Everything you asked for was done.
Yeah, I don't mean that there was a procedural problem or something went wrong. I'm saying I didn't.
You just didn't like the results.
I didn't like the result. I didn't enjoy it. Mm-hmm. Whereas I don't know. There's something different about. Okay, the guy wants to break into the apartment. Roll initiative.
Mm-hmm.
There something different happens in the mind. Now this is conditioning or bias or whatever, but this is like it's kind of like you're a defenseless victim and I'm punching you in the face because right. So if I want to keep Jorn in the hallway, I have to keep saying, okay, take harm. That's pretty much all I have. Right. You can
neutralize. You can neutralize.
You're not doing anything for me to neutralize.
That's the Gandhi style. Because I'm just. But you could have say, I take it off. So we could
there's all kinds of.
That's a duel, though. If you have done the duel move, probably.
Yeah.
Because do you currently have the upper end? So you force me into a duel. And then, so I hold your arm, and then.
But I think the duel itself is initiated by a player. It's not initiated by the MC. I don't think the MC can initiate a duel in the first place.
I remember, that's the thing. I remember I have this problem.
You had the same thing,
yeah.
So I experienced it myself.
Yeah. Because I remember when I think I was the scene outside.
You guys trying to get Tess. Yep.
Yeah, the mech outside, and I said I wanted to create a fight. And I couldn't because I don't know how to impose it. I think it's not in the rule. You're right. I think it's just arm.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's missing.
I felt like the player's telling me, I don't want to fight. I'm going to use passive resistance. This is very important to me. This trigger that you've put in front of me, I'm rejecting. I'm not going to go to mad. I'm going to go to peaceful. It doesn't feel right or whatever. So I'm taking that signal saying, okay, well, if it were the mother out there, I would have just kept doing, if she was the type that was capable to inflict damage. But this is a different character. This is this gentle giant that I wanted
Yeah.
to have some sympathetic edge to it, right? So
Yeah.
I'm left here as the MC feeling like
Yeah. I cannot do what I want to do. I know.
not only can I not do what I want to do, I can't even do what if this were a movie, I can't even do what would happen in the movie.
And you know what? The thing also with my peaceful, I mean, mad is a +2. So I'm not even utilizing the best part of the game. I did it on I'm staying true to my belief.
Yeah.
So it's really it must be the most annoying thing for a GM, because if you're trying to create any action whatsoever that is based on murder hobo style gaming, it's not happening. This is my strict ethic as a player with this guy. I'm not doing it. I'm dogmatic. I have everything on my sheet to justify it. So I'm completely coherent with everything I'm trying to do. So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
like,
I think
it's
the thing I'm thinking
super.
as the thing I'm thinking as I'm listening to this too, like is like, you know, the PBTA games or Apocalypse World and, you know, the Veil and what have you, they tell you as an MC, part of those principles are like, do what the fiction demands, do what honesty demands. But every once in a while you get in these situations where you can't.
Yeah, but well,
because the fiction honesty would
You have
demand
to
that.
choose.
Yeah.
So I chose to go with the player, because what Jean-Francois is saying is like, this is how the sheet was designed. Where I guess I think I'm gonna have to watch it again. I think the source of my dissatisfaction with the scene is I feel like this game is telling me I have to do something now.
Right.
Because I should be creating an environment that challenges the belief.
Yeah.
I should be, you know, it should be challenging, not just let's sit in another room and talk for a while kind of thing with the occasional roll for extra information. There should be something happening that affects the characters. And that has to start with something happening. So these people think that they own the apartment, or they've entitled themselves into feeling like they own the apartment. They're entirely in the wrong. And they're resorting to violence first without even talking. They're doing all these things wrong. There's nothing that I can do that makes this get under Yorn's skin.
Right.
The only thing I can do is put the situation out there for Jean-Francois to decide it does or it doesn't get under Yorn's skin, which means that none of these beliefs can ever really be tested. He has to say, you know what, I feel like.
Yeah. And no. And it's well, at the same time, they are, because I received arm, and I put myself, and I created my belief is tested in such a way that I'm putting myself in front of Tess, the gun here. That's a tough choice for Tess as well. But the thing is that the culture of play, people don't hurt other players. They don't do P versus P, PvP. The GM doesn't want to open my leg with the damn thing, you know. And I kind of like do it myself, because I'm so eager to try to push my belief to the point where, you know, it goes. And for me, it's like, it's I think the idea of pushing the belief goes into that place, because if I would have decided to fall into the mad and go against my fate just by principle, because these many situations happen to me, it can be cool, and then I have a crisis of fate, and then but this is not
it's just as artificial. Like,
but it's
both
just
choices
as
are artificial.
There you go. It's just as artificial, and this is not the narrative arc I want to play. I don't want to play this guy having a crisis of fate. I think it's easy. I think it's cheesy. I think it's kind of cheap. I want to have this hardcore, dogmatic guy who's super nice, but contrast with, give the impression that he's an egotistical guy. You know,
right?
He does everything else but that.
So here's the thing: you've got as your belief, my faith is the most important thing.
Yeah.
That belief can now never be challenged or resolved.
Well, it's gonna be when if I decide to. If I decide to do
it, gets you in trouble.
It can get you in trouble.
If I decide to do it, yeah.
So it's interesting. I totally agree. I'm making this.
And
I made
keep
the
my
same decisions
space.
as Cadmus, right?
Yeah, I know. I feel like yeah, you did it. I
He's
remember.
like, no, I don't want to do that. This is the thing that I've set out to do and explore.
So by the way, I will keep the arm on my sheet because I think that what happened to me is it's an operation. What do you think? Should I keep the arm? Because I want to keep the arm there.
The cost of removing the harm was the deletion of the bank account, right? The use of all that cred removes the harm.
But what about I am functional, but I'm still in pain?
Sure.
Because right now I have 3 dots before I die, and I think it's as a player I'd rather, this game is so not punitive. Like it can be nice that I get close to death at the end. So can I keep my arm?
Listen, let me tell you. I got news for you.
This as a player, what I'm expressing right now, it's a testimony of what we didn't manage with the game. Nobody had arm on the sheet. Pretty much never.
I did. You hurt me a lot.
Yeah, I hurt with the cold. I hurt with the cold at the beginning. Yeah. This is what the MC sheet is about, to create the move from the veil. Yeah. But you know, I mean, if I don't keep my arm on my sheet and I come back super fresh again, hey man, I'm gonna have to jump off a building to have some tension.
Well, she might push you too. You know,
I don't mind if you keep the harm. I mean, even if it's just the awareness that your cyberware is, you know, probably causing cancer or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, or it's just the pain. I mean, I'm not as good as I was or something. I don't know. Does it create a hindrance for the dice roll when you are in the moderate level? Not even, right?
No. Realistically, you probably just call it a tag and say, "Oh, I'm in pain," and roleplay being in pain. I think that's probably just as legitimate as actually having harm, and that's part of the ambiguity of the system, you know. But I do have news for you. If Ma Buchanan actually tried to pull a fast one while you were standing in front of the gun, I would have shot you. I mean, well, Tess would have shot you. I like you, but
yeah.
That's the last point I want to talk about, the adversarial nature of Tess. I'm very curious where it's coming from.
Okay, so me personally, I have to go. I'm sorry, guys. We can give ourselves the thing next session. I'm sorry, I have to go. But I'm doing a reflection tomorrow or later tonight, so you receive the rest of what I think.
It's cool that we all have been in the seat that I'm sitting in right now.
Oh yeah. I know now. I understand what you mean now. Yeah, because I mentioned that at the beginning. Like, I cannot challenge you. I don't. It's. Right. I think the game.
Or I don't understand the way to challenge you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we just don't understand it yet. It demands more you getting used to, because the game tells you like it's time for you to inflict harm, or inflict something. I think it's kind of like harm is a free pass. It's like harm. You can do it like that in the game. And I think it's not intuitive. I think that's why
you're gonna go and you know, you're not gonna remember this, but in my reflections on the Veil number 6, there's a comment on my video by Travis Martin. Really long comment, probably the most cogent comment we've gotten by anybody that plays Powered by the Apocalypse games. And I was thinking about his comment as we were discussing this conundrum here. And you know, he's one of those people that I think like gets it. And I remember reading that thinking, oh, okay, well that makes a lot more sense, because
that's a good comment.
You know, he just talks about the fact that, like, you know, Vincent Baker has said in the past, it's perfectly legitimate to say nope. Yeah, right. And there's a I think a way to play these games the way they're intended to be played, where there is this moment where the MC has more authority than they think they do.
That might be true, but at the same time, the MC is supposed to be a fan of the player, and tonight I felt in the character, fan of the character, and I think tonight Anthony has been a fan of Jorn, because that allowing me to go beyond my boundaries like that, and allowing me to say the thing without saying no. That I think that's what he meant by being a fan. If you have a player that's willing to give you, because the game is supposed to encourage that in the boundaries. I'm not supposed to go like that, like I did tonight. But
yeah, you know, like that's.
Yeah, but I appreciate. Yeah.
All right, you go.
Yeah, I go.
I'm going to keep talking to Ivan about Tess in the same way that we've been talking about Jorn. Sorry to keep you late. It's not like 20 minutes past.
No. I'm all good. I'm super happy. So thank you guys. I appreciate, and thank you for being patient. Patient with my
unprecedented, man. 2 games in a week.
Oh yeah, next week we have another one if God if the one is down.
Hope so.
Okay, later.
Okay, so Tess has been really in your face, throw you out the window, stuff like this. I'm curious where this is coming from.
I think it was just those scenes. I talked about a little bit in my reflections video, but just the scene as she goes above the clouds and she really just kind of as we're going up in the air car, and there was this moment where like Tessa's like, you know what, this is a lot better, and there's none of those damn people around. And the more she interacts with Jorn is this she starts to see him like just more as this really narcissistic, single-minded, but just completely out of touch. And despite the fact that he's talking about the peace, love, and happiness, and we're all part of the one, she's not. He's saying one thing, but he's doing something completely different. And she's it kept kind of showing up for me, like even in the that scene in the clothing store in Jinxie Styles.
Yeah.
best named clothing store ever. It's like Hot Topic on steroids. I mean, he said that. Like, oh my god. It was perfect. But that moment where she gets informed that she's wearing knockoffs, and then she has this and there's all this these signals that you're on level 4. Since level 4 is is where it's at, and just even the degradations of that, and this moment where Tress is really trying to figure out, where do I fit in now, and starting to come this realization, well, she wants to take her place in society. How do I fit in? And starting to have more and more this feeling like, well, I don't really belong here, because I really belong on level 10, and there is no level 10. And so I think there's this kind of like rage I keep feeling build up in her, as she's rejected by people, even by the people closest to her. Even Cadmus, who is called her a toaster. There was this rejection. Jorn and Cadmus have accepted her as a friend or an associate, but they've rejected her humanity and what she thinks she feels like her humanity might be. And these are the people that are closest to her.
Right, because that was one of those subconscious signals that I was, or subliminal signals I was trying to put out there, that Cadmus has had a history of not being nice.
Right.
And it's really only the revelation of, you're going to die.
Right.
It's that kind of the politeness of disdain rather than the politeness of warm-heartedness,
right.
And the murder was one of the ways that we see the real.
Yeah.
I don't submit to the likes of you.
Right.
And
it's still one of my favorite scenes. Where the switch kind of goes off.
So it's been interesting, and this is another one of those things where I felt like Jean-Francois brought it up. Culturally, we've been programmed to avoid PvP stuff.
Right.
Really, to some people don't even really think of it as an option. There's lots of threats bandied about in different types of games. Shadowrun or I can imagine Blue Planet causing it a lot, actually, with the way it's set up as a lawless frontier. Aces and eights all the time. Again, a lawless frontier. As soon as you realize you're operating kind of as a law unto yourselves, more PvP stuff or character versus character stuff comes out. And sometimes it's also player versus player, or sometimes it's only player versus player, and the characters don't have any reason to be to be getting in each other's face, but it usually, when you're at least older than 8 or whatever, it usually doesn't cross the line into my character attacks your character to make them do what I want. So the threat of violence uttered from one character to another character is kind of interesting. And then when you put it into the context of a game where there won't be any roll,
right?
Really, I mean, we could use duel, I suppose, right? But if the concept is not applying these moves to another player, if that is indeed the concept, then we have to agree to get into a fight and see what happens, and that's a pretty different feeling from, I slapped the guy. Oh, well, I
Right.
dodge. It's a different kind of thing, I think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and yeah, I read that a few times initially. The way this game spelled it out, I think, that'd be kind of interesting. I didn't envision we were going to get into like that much loggerheads. But I mean, it was funny. Like those couple times in the fiction where like she got really up in his face, it felt right. Even that moment where she just became disgusted with him, said, "Well, I'm not going with you." And to me that felt just as aggressive as if she just jacked him up against the wall. It was the same sort of real character versus character, and that's kind of stuff doesn't really bug me.
I think that's the valuable stuff. That's the stuff I like.
Right.
In the relationships, it's the I'm going to throw you out the window, or going out into the hallway to talk to the cop and say, hey, you might find this guy dead, and it's going to be me. I'm wondering where that is coming from, and if it's satisfying for you, or if it's if there's something that you're reaching for in the game that you're not finding. Like, these are my questions as
I think
play out.
I think for me that's just the way she started to feel. Is I'm getting more and more of this feeling that she's kind of like a time bomb, like a loose cannon. Maybe that's the wrong. Maybe that's wrong. When loose cannon's the wrong word, but she's uh, it felt appropriate to say those things. I mean, there's those moments like, Tessa's, well, what are you gonna do? Arrest me? I'm not even real. Yeah, come and get it. I mean, but she likes. I mean, to me, she actually likes this detective. She finds some kind of. It's like, oh, this guy kind of like Cadmus. I kind of like this guy. And she has no experience with humor whatsoever, so that was her best attempt at a joke, even though she was half serious. So, yeah, I might throw this guy at the window if he keeps on calling me a toaster one more time. How do you like my new model? So it's her first attempt at a joke. So that was kind of like half humorous and half kind of like, hey, she's got this rage she's not sure what to do with.
Right, because
so for me,
her main
it
state is
feels pretty
mad,
natural.
right?
Yeah, and it wasn't even like I really wouldn't care if it was a negative. It was just like, yep, she's pretty pissed off right now, and she's becoming more and more frustrated with the way humanity works. And what am I doing here? And that whole thing where like, let me go talk to the Veil. Now I thought about that before. What is she going to do? Who is she going to feel the most identification with?
Right. And what did the Veil say to her today?
Oh yeah, the didn't call it the prodigal, but something. What have they done to him? Yeah. And so,
right.
Which is one of those reasons she's asking, which unfortunately didn't go far enough for me, was asking Icarus, why do you care about your mother? What your mother thinks? And that was very loaded. I don't think, I mean, I don't know if it would have gone differently if you had been playing Icarus rather than G at that moment, but that was this kind of like real loaded question. Like, I'm kind of been wondering about my mom. I had to shoot dad, but mom's still alive, so
Yep.
that was a really kind of at least fun thing to say, if nothing else. So she's been I'll miss her when we're done. She's been a fun character.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and the mix of personalities. the street preacher, the security guard,
Right.
and the artificial being.
But I did have that moment of like to say like I think I even like took a deep breath and laughed for a second. That moment with where you know you want to kind of say, well, this is what I'm going to do, and Tess is like, you're full of crap, you know, and there was that moment of decision as a player. Okay, what do I do? Do I follow my instincts and do what Tess would do at this point? Because I know exactly what she'd do. It's like, you know, screw you, I'm not going. Go do whatever you want to do. I'm gonna, you know. Yeah, it was very symbolic and like, you know, we're parting company. We're going to stay in the same apartment, but this is a major rift versus, oh man, we should both go there and go to that scene and see what happens because we're not going to split the party and you know and it, you know what I mean, and it wasn't just, you know, for advantage. It's like, well, we should both go there together so we can, you know, have some role play. I'm like, you know, no. And so it was that moment of split second moment decision. Do I follow my you know, be a good role player or you know, be a team player. Let's all go here together. You know,
I guess that's more a team player than being a good role player, right? I mean, there's so many artificial things make people put their characters in places where they have no business being.
Yeah,
but you know, it's interesting. I mean, I never mind splitting the party. It doesn't.
No, I kind of dig it. I kind of dig it. So yeah, the whole team player instinct is one that's, you know, it's an old one. I'm like, no, I don't see any. She doesn't want to go there.
So what we've experienced, just to keep the Star Wars metaphor going, this is Han taking the money and saying, "Farewell, kid, but I'm not flying up against that battle station. You should come with me."
Right.
Yeah. So, and he leaves.
Right. Exactly. So. Yeah, I'm actually thinking. I mean, it's interesting. You know, unfortunately, we stayed in the apartment, but like, here we are. Like, you got 2 time bombs ready to go off during these next 2 meetings. At least, you know, from my perspective, it's like, you know, between the, you know, Tess and the Veil, and between Yorn and Akhenaten.
Yeah.
Prince of Egypt, you know.
So yeah, it's interesting. And when I say I didn't want you guys to stay in the apartment, I mean, it's just because it could be any game at that point. I mean, like we're not in the setting really. We're just in this apartment, and there's a bunch of unpleasant NPCs around, and it's just, you know, family drama.
Right.
So, you know, so, you know, you start to second guess yourself. Well, you know, you had them show up at the apartment, so that ties. You had these guests show up at the apartment, but like, again, the initial idea for me was you inherit the apartment, but Cadmus had family and they want it.
Right. Exactly. You know, and it's funny because I remember going in the session thinking to myself, okay, well, we're gonna I think like goal, but I'm thinking, well, okay, it's, you know, Yorn and Tess are so diametrically opposed, and so they're rubbing each other, you know, really grating on each other. I think, okay, well, maybe in this session we're supposed to have some kind of get some kind of level understanding of each other, you know, and instead completely split, which is fine. That's the way it went. But like, I just looked at my beliefs, and like, you know, number 2 is I was trying to understand Yorn and his belief in the unified whole, and to me, like, she's done with that. He is spoken about it, and she is, in her eyes, seen it for the crock of nonsense that it is, and not so much that the unified and the wholes is nonsense, but she doesn't see Yorn's actions lining up with what he purports to believe.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, because it obviously works, right? He is able to remain calm in the face of all of these affronts to human dignity or to his safety or direct insults about his faith, or, you know, all of the things that we've seen down through the campaign. He is able to be Gandhi, as Jean-Francois said, right? So there's something to the faith,
right?
But does that mean that he's, you know, practicing those tenets sincerely? That's something that Tess has teased out, has pulled, you know, into the light. And how much does she care about him to to try and, instead of trying to understand him, try to get him to understand himself.
Right.
Is that going to be a new belief or something?
Yeah, and that's something like, as far as she's concerned, like, Jonas has kind of he has this whole way of dealing with the trials of life by just kind of passively resisting, and going along and kind of going along with the flow, but just being, I'll let myself be thrown out of the apartment, but I'll just hold on to be this dead weight, and Tess says her built-in survival mechanisms were to kind of blend in and not make waves until she has to kill this Barry's target. But everything else is based on almost sort of not being there, being unobtrusive, and not standing out as being something that's wrong or whatever. Supposed to, and she doesn't want to do that anymore. She doesn't see Yorn's way of life as attractive.
Right.
So and yeah, I'm done with that belief. She's and she's just like, nah, that's really not that's not what she wants.
So what did you get out of this session? Like, as a player of the Veil, what did you get out of this session?
It was interesting. I spent a lot of time watching, because there were a lot of times I wasn't actually interacting, and I was like, it kind of, like there's that kind of moment as I thought it was just coming from a more traditional background where I'm like, oh geez, I think he's kind of overreaching his boundaries there, or I could see those moments where, like, yeah, I would feel kind of hamstrung here as well. But as a player, so I had a lot of that going on. But as a player, it was, interacting with any of the moves felt pretty straightforward. It's like some crappy rolls, which was sad.
Yeah, we're still so clumsy with the dice, though. It's just like, oh, this is our play of the Veil is inelegant.
Yeah. There's that, and there weren't too many things that I'd lift the Veil, and that did not go so great. I think probe was okay. It wasn't it didn't go terrible. I mean, the thing I keep on thinking as a player, anytime I really engage the system, because a lot of it we're doing is just plain old role playing, role play. Okay, here's a time to go engage the system. Is it's so. I mean, I managed to roll 4, which was great. I managed to fail, but even with the pro movies, like you're going in knowing, well, I'm going to get something. And to me, it just always feels like so little risk is involved, even when I'm picking the dice up.
Right. So
yeah, there's not that same kind of oh crap moment that happens when it's time to roll the dice in the Veil that there is in some other games. And I don't mean that like in a thrilling sense. I mean, it's just like, okay, well, there's a good chance statistically I'm still going to get at least one. I'm going to get to ask one of these questions. And so, which one is most important to me?
All right. So what I'm hearing today, right? Because Jean-Francois pretty much said the same thing, right? And it might not be that harm is rare or difficult in the Veil. It might be that we, as MCs of the Veil, have been way too light on it. Right. So erring on the side of caution, erring on the side of respect for the specially encoded rights of the player,
right,
and being more willing to sacrifice the rights of the MC player. Rights is too strong a word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
To make sure that those special qualities see play, because we're treating the source material with as much respect as we can, and knowing that there's going to be areas where we might want to fight it. I had a more pleasurable experience in session 7 than I did here.
Right.
although the moves that I defaulted to are pretty much the same, right?
Right.
You know, revealing. I mean, just looking at the list, right? Revealing off-screen badness, advanced shroud, misdirect the final truth, put people in a spot, offer an opportunity, turn a move back on people, take away something, right? All of these things are just are natural, right?
Right.
But once they're introduced, they should have an effect.
Right. Absolutely.
But this is an effect that the player chooses.
Right.
And can you as the MC, or should you as the MC, or do MCs find that they have to learn to be involved in that decision?
Mm. Yeah, I
Like
mean,
we want to role play. We want to express the inner life of the character. That's been our reaction to the Veil. But what if normally these games are played by people saying, well, I think in response to that, my character would, and then the MC would say, well, what about this detail? And then they say, oh, yeah, I forgot about that detail. But then there's this other detail, which I think is more important. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one myself. So yeah, it seems like the character would do this. Okay, well, let's do that then. Right on.
yeah,
That's a
what I
lot
would,
easier than someone's role playing. You say, well, wait, quiet for a second. You're forgetting this.
right, right. Yeah, I mean, the thing I kept on thinking to myself was like, when in a game like this, it seems like when the MC makes a move, it's I don't say obligations. Obligations are the wrong word, but I'm going to use it for the hell of it. I feel like it's my obligation as a player. If you throw me a left hook, my obligation is to lean into it. Just see if you can hit me harder, as opposed to doing like, oh, but wait a minute. I still want to get what I want. So let me, but what really happens is I do this here and I roll away at the last second. And I think you have to be willing as a player, and I hate to use the word trust, but let's put trust out there to like, okay, well, let's just see where this is going. Just kind of lean into that left hook. If the MC makes a move, don't fight it.
Right. It's interesting, right? Because that trust goes both ways. Because the player might have a better sense of the scene than the MC does in that particular moment to
Right.
bring out the things that we like about that character. So, like, I think this is yet another justification of why a group has to play together for a while. A group has to follow through the processes of the game until they become more internalized and work on the art of it, and expect stories to be awkward or clunky during that phase, right? The
Right.
story being the product of play, right? To expect it to be awkward or sometimes unsatisfying because you are making mistakes, or you're missing, or you're misinterpreting, or you're being too heavy-handed or too cliche or whatever, because you're occupied on too many levels just doing the thing. So once you get rid of
Right.
all of that doing the thing barriers, and then can simply start focusing on the pure collaboration of it with everything else being autonomic, this is harm or this is risk, not neutralize, right?
Right.
It has an impact, has a processing impact on you when you say, well, it sounds like you want to stop him from doing something. So my knee-jerk reaction is that's something like a neutralize or a defense. And then you stop and read the text and say, no, it's still just risk.
Right.
And so then you've been paying attention to something else, and you've missed some of the fine threads of a thing or whatever.
Right.
And again, I just all today I felt like I had to make the choice of insert something unpleasant and then just keep hammering at it,
Right.
or keep my hands off. That's what I felt like ultimately, like regardless of what move choice would be appropriate in the scene, it seemed like do it or don't do it.
Right.
And yeah, that's it. And sometimes I did it, and then I felt like, well, what effect did that really have? You know, because I don't want, this is not my story. It's our story, right?
Right.
So as the MC, I'm responsible for the world in which the characters act, and I'm responsible for presenting challenges and conflict, things that matter. But ultimately, it's the player has to decide how they matter and what the response is.
Right. Right. I see where you're going with that. Yeah, there's a lot of I don't know, rising to take the bait is probably the wrong way to put it, but there's a lot of um,
Right. So there, yeah, I mean, it is a bit like, dancing with a partner, right?
right,
Rather than dancing in front of your partner. Um, it's like, this is a home intrusion. This is a home invasion. They've shown up, and Yorn had the right of it. The grenade is no real threat.
right,
The enforcer is a gentle giant, and that's part of, you know twisting things so that ugly decisions can be made, right?
right.
The mother's a piece of work, you know, and the brother's pretty much a victim of both of them, so
Yeah,
but right now they're showing up and they're trying to victimize you. What are you going to do about it? And it's like, well, I'm going to call the cops.
right.
Yeah, that's a logical reaction. I've got every right to be here. I don't want to fight with anybody, right? We can all get along. If you want to stay, that's fine. If you want to go, that's fine too, right? We got to see his religion in action. That's great. And that's ultimately, that is collaboration between what I put into the fiction and what he's putting into the fiction.
Right.
He doesn't want to portray um, the crisis of faith. I really respect that decision.
Right.
I still have to test the faith so that we see it.
Right. Right. That's your job.
And we have this conflict between the two characters. I have to test Tessa's sense of her own humanity. Right? How many people are in the room? One.
Oh yeah, that was one of my favorite lines of the entire. I knew that was what was going to happen. I was thinking to myself, if he doesn't say one, he sucks. That was awesome. One, I was like, oh, that's so gratifying.
So, you know, I don't know. I guess ultimately, the I don't have any idea what the conflicting responses I've had to this session mean.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah, I could be wrong, but like there's like our friend Brian talks about yes and an awful lot, and it seems like in this sort of game, it might work the best. I hate to use the word obligation because that's the wrong word, but just when somebody throws something out there into the fiction, whether it's the MC or the player, um, it seems like it works better if you don't dismiss it, but like kind of latch onto it and say, what can I add to this to make this interesting? And the danger, of course, is that like you run into a situation where the MC is, the storyteller, and here's the new stuff that happens. Like, oh well, I'll do that. That sounds cool. We're gonna go to the tavern, um, or the dungeons over there. But by the not falling into that trap, it seems like every time, like as an MC, like introduce a complication or whatever the thing into the fiction, um, it's kind of like Chekhov's gun. It's there for a reason. Well, let's figure out what the hell the reason is. Let's put an and. Let's do the S and maybe as a player I can turn that way around, but it's there. So that's I think you run. It seemed like a couple times, at least from my perspective, that sort of happened where like something got introduced and was just kind of negated, and it seems like that's where like things can get frustrating or fall flat. You know.
Yeah, I mean, Chekhov's gun is a huge part of all of this, and because the separation of the play sessions is so extreme, right? There are moments where individual people's recollections of things are off. They're just wrong. And that's another area where I personally don't want to step in and say, actually, your character knows this.
Yeah, no, I know the spots you're talking about. That's one of the reasons I have this damn thing up, because I'm old. It's been a long time, so that's this guy, or that's there are other things I remember. I'm like, okay, that's what happened.
In real life, people don't remember things the same way, and
right. Well, Jorn's stoned all the time anyway. So what the hell is he supposed to remember?
In Jorn's case, he missed all of the badness.
Yeah,
he simply wasn't present for the badness. So I think that's important.
Right.
That he has his understanding of what went wrong. He has his understanding of what Rich said. He's got his understanding of stuff he saw on camera, and and his own assumptions. And I think that's great. That's another source of conflict. And then there's Tessa's interpretation of things,
right?
And which can be askew or childlike or restricted in understanding to particular states, and there's a lot of rich opportunities. But I guess from the point of view of Chekhov's gun, the through line of everything that's happening, is kind of important, I think, and dealing with things in the moment. So the Jean-Francois's point about the long move,
right?
I'm reminded of that, and things should perhaps be resolved, like not allowed to drag on, and be clearly bookended to mitigate the feeling I have now of like I'm putting a lot of the stuff in here, and I feel like this is a challenge. This is my way of expressing a challenge, and it I don't feel good about my portrayal of the mother. As soon as I got her out there into play, she was very clear in my head as who she was. I didn't want to play her, right? I didn't want to use my time portraying that woman. I was willing to talk about her, but I didn't want to talk with her voice.
Right.
Which is a pretty clear sign that I should have thought more carefully about that character. But she's been with my interpretation of Cadmus from the beginning.
Cool.
But none of that. This is her first appearance, right?
Right.
So, so that there's that. So there's my own awkwardness handling this NPC that I don't want to play.
Right.
And then the rest of the scene starts to fall flat for me. And then, of course, it lacks any kind of power. And then because it's badly portrayed, and then we connect with, there's actually nothing I can do except say, they're here, deal with it. Well, I'm not actually going to deal with it. No, you have to deal with it. They're in your face. Yeah, I'm not going to deal with it. In fact, I'm going to go over to the window and do nothing.
Right.
Which puts me in the position of, you know what? They pick you up and they throw you in the hallway and they lock the door.
Right.
Which is not something I want to do, and it doesn't have any particular value, and it turns the situation into something that it's not. Or,
right.
Hey, officer, I'm going to throw this guy out the window, so if you find him dead, it was me. Is the exact same situation. It's you've just confessed to a crime to a police officer who's already been looking the other way because he's more interested in this other case.
Right.
But do I actually have to deal with you now? So those were, I imagine that the source of my dissatisfaction is how I handled the session.
Right.
But it may be that I want rules in different places. I don't tend to call for more roles than what we do here, and I don't tend to use them for different things than what we do here. But I'm wondering if it's just that I want the rules to be in different places.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I'm sure Tess would have been happy to go down the station with this guy. But yeah, I don't know, because when you talk about like not calling for too many more roles than what we do here, that's I've noticed that, and I frequently do the same sort of thing, but there's something else that's informing me I don't need to have somebody roll. There's some kind of information.
Yeah, it seems like the roles are in a position. It doesn't even seem, the roles are in a position to tell you when consequences apply and who gets to apply them. I believe I prefer rules that supply you with the consequences, and it's the decisions that the players make that determine whether or not we're going to check to see what the consequences are. It's a subtle distinction, but
that's an important one. I get what you're saying. But yeah, there's definitely those. I felt those moments when I was emceeing where it's like, what do I do here? I know there's something I want to do. there's something I should do. How the hell do I do it? Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you look at all the moves as an aggregate, right? Basically, you say what happens.
Right.
You don't roll. You just decide what happens, and you're trying to. You are gravity, right? The players are falling, and you are gravity. You're the direction in which everything is traveling, unless they make changes.
Right.
But I think what happens when you try to play Powered by the Apocalypse instead of actually just playing Powered by the Apocalypse, you wind up not being gravity. You wind up just being the sky, the clouds, the view of the ground. Nothing's actually happening.
Yeah, that's an apt way to put it. I think that's a pretty decent metaphor for that. Yeah, that's a good one. I go with that. That makes sense. Yeah, sometimes there's that reluctance to be gravity.
So it still doesn't mean prepping. I mean, what I mean, like you've set up a starting point, and so you're looking in a direction, right? So what is the setting doing that makes that direction the direction of initial travel? And then the players impact and finesse and dodge and duck and weave around the things that are taking us in that direction. Well, maybe we're not going that direction anymore, but we're still going in a direction, and things will continue to go in that direction unless acted upon. And I think that's the principle that that the sense that we are beginners and learners is interfering with.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know.
That's possible. I guess I have to play more of these games and figure it out. Maybe I'll get good at this one day.
I don't know.
I have a cat wanting to get in.
All right. Anyway, we should probably stop the broadcast regardless.
Yeah. Kiki's. Oh, really? I've been ignoring this cat. She's gonna get pissed off now. It's like being picked up. Let's see. We get gratuitous mammal shots in my channel as well. Oh, she's
not gratuitous. Necessary.
She must be really lonely. She's actually letting me pet her. But she was 4 pounds and now she's 10. You want to get down. So
looks healthy.
Yeah, pretty healthy. All right, man. Well, that was fun, and hopefully we'll get to do session 9. And
hope so.
See how fast we manage to burn.
Take care.
Yeah. Take it easy, man. Bye.